The hero killed every woman who had ever loved him, and, before they died, they hated him, cursed him, and wished for his ruin. To save the world, the hero ultimately chose to die together with the Demon King. After that, he entered a brand new world line. But in this new world line, the hero realized that the girls he had once killed with his own hands still remembered everything from their past lives. The man who was supposed to be the hero surrendered to the Demon King and handed over the Holy Sword. At that point, the world's destruction was only a matter of time. The places he once knew began to fall, one after another. His entire world was collapsing, and even the people he loved most had died by his own hand. The dark mage Kania was driven into a corner. She swore that she would watch him fall into pain and despair. Then, in the end, she hanged herself right in front of him. The man led the Demon King's army and crushed everything in his path. The great mage Irina demanded to know why he would do this when he was supposed to be the hero. She fought with everything she had, just to save one more human life. But even then, she could not put a single scratch on him. The empire that had stood undefeated for 1,000 years finally fell. Princess Klana never imagined her empire would be destroyed by one of its own people. The hero, Frey Ravo Seret, that shameless, despicable man, was permanently etched into the princess's mind. Saintess Ferloche was still offering her final prayer. She thanked God for his guidance, because thanks to the evil hero Frey, everyone finally realized that God had already abandoned humanity. Then the hero Frey appeared before her. Saintess Ferloche declared that even if she died, she would never forgive him. After that, Frey arrived at humanity's final line of defense. Even in her final moments, Chancellor Serena's thoughts were still fixed on him. By then, the hero Frey had become a complete villain. A hero and a Demon King fighting together were truly unstoppable. Now, all he had to do was destroy the Holy Sword, and everything would finally end. The Demon King thought Frey had come to offer him the Holy Sword. But at the critical moment, Frey suddenly drew the blade. He told the Demon King not to look so surprised, because the deaths of both the hero and the Demon King had been part of his plan from the very beginning. This was how he would save the world. It was also the only way to save the people he had killed, and the ones he loved more than anything. The next second, the hero Frey opened his eyes again. He gasped for air, then shot upright and realized he had returned to the past. He had gone back to the day before enrollment. The system announced, "Destroying the world is your destiny. As a true villain in disguise, carve open the path of salvation. Pretend to be evil and save the world. Only then will you obtain happiness." This was the reward Frey earned after destroying the world and dying together with the Demon King. He had finally entered the hidden world line. And this time, he could save everyone. 10 years ago, Frey still could not understand what those words meant. His father told him they were characters from Hua, and only those who inherited the bloodline of the hero's family could read them. Then his father brought Frey to a hidden entrance. He told Frey that he had to fulfill his mission properly, because 1,000 years after the Demon King's disappearance, his successor would appear and destroy the world. At the same time, a new hero would rise to save it. That was the prophecy left behind by their ancestor, the one who had once defeated the Demon King. But that was only the information known to the Empire. In truth, the prophecy had a continuation, and only the hero's family knew about it. The full prophecy said that 1,000 years after the Demon King was defeated, his successor would surely appear again. And that so-called 1,000 years later was now. In other words, Frey was the new hero of this era. After that, Frey's father locked him inside this room. There, Frey noticed something glowing in front of him. He guessed that it had to be the legendary weapon of the hero's sword. Frey reached out, trying to touch the blade. But then, a man suddenly appeared and told him that the sword was far too heavy for him, so he should give up while he still could. Frey was shocked and asked who he was. The man was just as baffled, wondering how this little brat did not even recognize his own ancestor. Still, after taking a closer look, he admitted that Frey did look somewhat similar to him, though, according to the ancestor himself, he was supposedly a very handsome man. Frey said his father had told him that if he came here he would learn how to save his friends. The ancestor immediately realized that what Frey was looking for was a walkthrough. But even he did not know whether Frey's world was on the happy ending route or the bad ending route. Frey only became more confused. So the ancestor placed his hand directly on Frey's face. The next second, Frey saw the future of the wrong world line. One by one, the people he loved died right before his eyes. The sight left Frey completely frozen. It was a world line filled with nothing but despair. The ancestor asked Frey what choice he would make. Frey answered firmly that he could do it. He decided that he would save the world, just like his ancestor had done, and he would protect everyone he loved. Only then did the ancestor remember. The boy standing before him was the current hero. So the ancestor told Frey the only way to enter the happy ending route. Only by doing this could Frey save the people he loved and the world itself. But it would not be an easy path. First, he had to destroy the world. Then he had to enter the hidden route, pass its trial, and only then could he reach the happy ending. After saying that, the ancestor simply told him to do his best. Frey knew that this world was now moving toward the happy ending route. What made this life different from the previous one was that he now had a system window. The prophecy book from his past life had mentioned this very thing. This was the method his ancestor had taught him. As long as Frey mastered the system and fulfilled every condition, he would be able to protect the world. Just then, Kanya knocked on his door. Frey told her to come in. He thought he would finally be able to see Kanya's long-lost smile again. But at that exact moment, the system suddenly issued an error warning. Kanya was glaring at Frey with pure hatred in her eyes. She was one of the 5 heroines, the maid heroine Kanya. The system announced, Kanya, one of the 5 heroines, has retained the memories of her past life. Frey never imagined something this absurd could happen. The heroines he had once killed had all kept their memories. In his previous life, Frey had chosen to destroy the world himself in order to enter the hidden world line. But in this life, he was being controlled by the system and forced to become a villain. If he did anything good, the system would drain away his life force, and that was the restriction placed on clearing the hidden world line. At that moment, the dark mage Kanya was glaring at Frey with pure hatred. Just from that killing intent alone, Frey knew exactly what she wanted to do. Kanya was the maid of Frey's family, and her entire life had been cursed by black mana, which constantly drained away her lifespan. At the same time, she was also one of the 5 heroines recorded in the prophecy book. And most importantly, she still had her memories from her past life. In that previous life, Frey had tormented her in every way possible. So it would not be strange if Kanya tried to kill him at any moment. Kanya asked if her young master wanted to eat, and Frey told her to prepare whatever he usually had. Kanya replied in an ice-cold voice, then quietly left the room. Frey was honestly terrified. That frozen look in her eyes proved without a doubt that she remembered her past life. The system announced, the false villain's intuition has detected powerful killing intent nearby. But Kanya had already left. So why was the warning window still there? The false villain's intuition could detect a fatal threat once per day. In other words, Kanya really had wanted to kill Frey, her own master. And now, that killing intent was getting closer and closer. Soon, Kanya brought in a meal that looked wrong at first glance. Frey could immediately tell she had poisoned it with black magic. Frey knew that in Kanya's eyes, he was probably nothing more than trash. But even though he knew the food was poisoned, he could not expose her directly. So, Frey questioned Kanya, saying he normally ate sandwiches, so why had she brought him something like this? Then he threw the food straight out. The system immediately announced, false villain points increased by 1. Kanya had no choice but to prepare another meal. Not long after, she brought in a new dish. But one look at the color was enough to tell that it was still poisoned. Frey casually made up an excuse and told her to remake it. Kanya cooked again and again, but Frey was never satisfied. Eventually, he did not even bother looking at the food before ordering her to make it again. Kanya was clearly exhausted, but she still stubbornly kept using black magic to poison every dish. Frey had planned to drain her mana this way, but it was proving harder than expected, so he had no choice but to accept the food. And just as Frey was about to eat, Kanya stared at him with a face full of anticipation. But Frey suddenly tossed the sandwich away and said the first soup had tasted better. Then he ordered Kanya to make another bowl of that same soup right away. With her mana completely drained, Kanya collapsed on the spot. Frey could not help thinking that the Kanya from his past life had been so gentle and smiled so often. So how had she become like this? First, he carried Kanya to the bed. To make sure she would not die from running out of mana, Frey began transferring his own life force into her. If Kanya kept causing trouble like this, she would eventually interfere with his plan. Before the main storyline officially began, Frey had originally planned to stay hidden. Besides Kanya, the other 4 heroines were also serious problems. The future Chancellor, Serena, was still traveling, so he did not have to worry about her, for now. Princess Klena had also been exiled by the royal family, and had not gained real power yet. The real problems were Saintess Ferloche and the great mage Irina. Saintess Ferloche was an idiot being used by the church. and if Frey let his guard down for even a second, she might kill him. As for Irina, who barely thought before acting, she might try to kill him the moment they met. As for Kanya, as long as Frey used her younger sister as a hostage, she probably would not dare to go too far for the time being. Right now, the most important thing was collecting false villain points to stay alive. Frey had even used Kanya to test how many points he could farm from a single person. With his memories from the past life and the information from the prophecy book, saving the world should not be too difficult. The next morning, Kanya was still asleep on the bed. Frey first carried her back down to the floor, then coldly scolded her, asking how long she planned to keep sleeping. Kanya was startled awake on the spot. Today was the first day of enrollment, so Frey ordered her to prepare the carriage immediately. After that, he summoned the system and checked the false villain points he had collected. In total, he had gained 100 points. To keep himself alive, he had to earn as many points as possible. Thinking about it, Frey actually started looking forward to academy life a little. Even he wondered if something was wrong with his head. And so, his wonderful academy life officially began. Because Frey was the young master of the most powerful ducal family in the empire, students who wanted to flatter him quickly gathered around him. Frey had no choice but to pretend to play along. Then 2 students even offered to bring Frey a pair of pretty commoner girls. Frey told them to bring the girls over first, so he could take a look. These worthless noble students, just like the empire itself, had already rotted to the core. Still, getting along with them would help Frey earn more false villain points. Before long, they actually brought over 2 girls. Frey recognized one of them at a glance. It was Irina. But how could Irina, a genius fire mage, possibly be captured by ordinary students? Frey even suspected that she might have let herself get caught on purpose, just so she could wipe out everyone here. To be safe, he immediately bought emergency defense and information search from the system window. Those were bought with the points he had earned from Kania yesterday. But then, the system revealed that Irina was currently drained of mana. Frey could not understand how a genius mage like her had ended up in such a state. Irina and the other female student were still struggling, yelling at them to let go. Frey looked at the group with disdain and ordered them to shut up. He said he wanted to have some private fun with these 2 women. After hearing that, the 2 students holding Irina finally left. Frey grabbed Irina by the chin, planning to scare her a little first. But Irina kept cursing him, saying he would eventually be destroyed by her ultimate magic. Just as Frey was about to keep tormenting her, Irina was still wondering how she had been captured before 12 o'clock. The next second, Frey suddenly collapsed as if he had lost consciousness. The other female student immediately shouted for Irina to run while she had the chance. The door was pushed open at the same time. As the female student left, she cursed under her breath, saying these people were disgusting for treating commoners like slaves. Frey secretly breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that his acting had been good enough. It was also thanks to the emergency defense he had bought in advance that he dared to act so boldly. At that moment, the time reached exactly 12 o'clock. The system announced, "Emergency defense has been used." Irina had activated her 12 o'clock curse. This destructive curse could only be used once a year. After it was cast, the target would be executed at 12 o'clock, while the caster would suffer mana depletion for an entire year. If Frey had not used emergency defense in advance, he would have been finished. Then, Kanya walked over. She told Frey that he could not sleep in a place like this. Frey took the chance to tease her, and told Kanya to carry him back. But Kanya still agreed to his request, whispering that it would be nice if he could always stay this obedient. While lying on Kanya's back, Frey secretly shared some of his life force with her. But at that moment, Kanya whispered, "Frey, you really are trash. If it were not for my sister, I would kill you right now." Frey could not help remembering the gentle Kanya from his previous life. Kanya continued, saying that once she confirmed her sister was safe, she would send him straight to hell. After that, Kanya carried Frey back to the dorm and said that she would also be staying there, because if she was kicked out of the dorm, Frey would be expelled. Before long, Kanya had laid out a blanket on the floor of Frey's room. Because of the system's restrictions, Frey could not allow these heroines to die. And so, Kanya ended up sleeping right beside Frey. Going to school while also protecting the heroines was honestly a bit much for him. The next day, Kanya woke Frey up, but Frey still wanted to keep sleeping. So Kanya prepared to leave on her own first. In a moment of agitation, Frey suddenly started coughing violently. He even coughed up blood. It was a sign that he had lost too much life force yesterday. Frey told Kanya that she was not allowed to run around without his orders. Then, he even took out Kanya's precious fountain pen and coldly said that she should be just like this pen, without any will of her own. If you have any complaints, you can leave right now, but your sister might end up being sent to a brothel. Kanya immediately cried and apologized, begging Frey to spare her sister. Frey warned Kanya not to get any strange ideas. The system announced, threatening someone with their family, false villain points increased by 10%. After that, Kanya picked up the fountain pen, but all she could think about was her younger sister. At the same time, she noticed that Frey's bed was covered with bloodstains. In one of the academy classrooms, Professor Isel was introducing himself. Then, two people quietly sneaked into the classroom. They were none other than Frey and Kanya. The fire mage Irina also realized that Frey was still alive. For a moment, both of them were shaken. Irina could not understand why her perfect curse-killing spell had failed, and she even began to suspect that Frey had been working with the Demon King from the very beginning. Meanwhile, Saintess Fairlock, who was sitting behind Frey, was staring at him with a kind smile. This was already the situation on the very first day of school. Frey finally endured until class ended. Saintess Fairlock immediately approached him and shyly said that she wanted to give him a blessing, and it would be best if they went somewhere with no one around. The system announced, the false villain's intuition has detected powerful killing intent nearby. Frey thought this foolish Saintess was far too bold, openly showing that she wanted to kill him without even trying to hide it. Knowing exactly what she was after, Frey rejected her without hesitation. Saintess Fairlock explained that her blessing was something money could never buy, but Frey still said he did not need it. After being rejected, Saintess Fairlock even started crying on the spot. Frey could not help thinking that this girl was only being used by the church because she was too stupid. The second class was combat training. Each student had to spar with Professor Isel one by one. Professor Isel even complained that everyone was ridiculously weak. Most of the fights ended the moment they began, with the students being instantly defeated by her. Frey and Kanya were also watching from the side. The next person called up for sparring was Kanya. Kanya then stepped into the trial grounds. The two of them quickly began to fight. Frey knew that Kanya often suffered from a lack of mana, so he had been secretly sharing his life force with her the entire time. Their battle grew more and more intense, and Frey, who was transferring life force over such a long distance, was already reaching his limit. At that moment, Kanya chose to surrender. Her reason was that she was running low on mana, and if she kept fighting, she might completely lose control. Isel felt that Kanya had the talent to become the strongest mage, but her lack of mana was truly a shame. Frey almost thought she was going to drain him of all his life force. However, Frey had also prepared for this sparring match in advance. He had pinned a certain brooch to his chest. After all, he could not miss such a perfect chance to earn points. As for the genius fire mage Irina, because she had cursed Frey earlier, she would suffer mana depletion for an entire year. So the moment she stepped onto the field, Isel defeated her with a single strike. Saintess Fairlock simply raised her hand and surrendered. Her reason was that it would be wrong to attack a teacher. Finally, it was Frey's turn. He confidently walked onto the field with his sword in hand. After just one exchange, Frey had already gained the upper hand. It seemed there was a reason that brooch had been so expensive. Frey even began to push Isel back. Gaining more momentum as the fight went on, Frey unleashed two waves of sword energy. The two waves of sword energy shot straight toward Isel. Isel barely managed to block them. The students were all shocked that Frey was actually overpowering the teacher. Frey seized the opportunity and knocked the sword out of Isel's hand with one strike. At this point, the winner of the sparring match was obvious. Everyone could hardly believe what they had just seen. But Saintess Fairlock immediately pointed out that Frey's brooch carried the aura of a demon. She puffed up her cheeks and walked over to Frey. Then, she reached out and released a purifying light toward the brooch. The demon inside the brooch was instantly purified. Everyone thought this was outrageous. The young master of a ducal family had actually used black magic during a sparring match. The system announced, unknown terrifying villain has appeared. Points increased by 2,000. Professor Isel told Frey to come to her office after class. Frey acted like he did not care at all, but he knew Isel was only worried about him. Frey's excuse was that using the item had simply been the natural choice in that situation. Isel was furious, but there was nothing she could do about him. She still demanded that Frey tell her where he had bought that item. Frey agreed without hesitation. Isel could not understand why Frey had changed so much. When Frey returned to the dorm, Kanya was waiting for him. And at that moment, Kanya was messing with something that looked like a little cat. Kanya said this was a gift from her younger sister. She even placed a little cat plushie on the desk on purpose. That night, after Kanya fell asleep, Frey prepared to give her the life force he had planned to transfer the next day. But everything he did was being completely recorded by the little cat plushie on the desk. Just as Frey was about to transfer life force into Kanya, the cat plushie beside him kept staring at him. It turned out that this little cat had been created by Kanya using black magic. She had transferred her consciousness into it. Her plan was to catch Frey red-handed tonight. Then, she saw Frey place his hand on her stomach. From Kanya's point of view, Frey looked like an absolute pervert. She thought that once she returned to her body, she would definitely kill him. But Frey only kept his hand there and did nothing else. In fact, he even looked like he was in pain. Kanya was about to keep watching for a little longer, but Frey had already finished transferring his life force. Then he walked straight toward the cat plushie. Kanya thought her cat transformation magic had been discovered, but Frey simply picked up the cat and exclaimed that it was way too cute. He even could not resist rubbing his face against the cat plushie. When Frey poked the cat's belly with his finger, the startled Kanya suddenly cried out. The atmosphere immediately became awkward. Kanya could only let out a few more stiff mechanical meows. Frey thought this plush cat would make a sound whenever its belly was poked, so he kept poking it for half the night. The next morning, Frey noticed that Kanya was holding her stomach and acting a little strange. The system also announced misunderstanding and accident. Points increased by 200. False villain point level increased. Shop function unlocked. But before Frey could slowly study the shop function, the system showed him a new notification. Stop the commoner dorm attack and capture the culprit. Success will reward hero weapon awakening progress. Failure will reduce life force and slightly shorten your lifespan. Right now, Frey also needed materials from the auction house, and he still had his appointment with Professor Isel. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Frey ordered Kanya to hurry up and open it. After opening the door, Kanya greeted Professor Isel and said good morning. Isel asked in confusion why Kanya was in Frey's room. She was even more shocked that a male and female student were living in the same room. Frey teased Isel, saying that the professor clearly had no experience in that area. He told her that it was better to experience these things sooner rather than later. Otherwise, once she got older, she might never be able to get married. After that, Kanya quickly explained that nothing had happened between them. Frey then left the dorm with Isel, who still had not fully recovered from the shock. Isel was going to the black market to check the place where Frey had bought the demon item last time. Soon, they entered a remote alley. This was the dark side of the empire, where the gap between the poor and the rich was painfully obvious. Isel urged Frey to hurry up and take her to the shop. She said that once they returned, she would definitely deal with this area properly. Before long, Frey brought Isel to the shop. Isel told Frey to wait outside, saying she could handle things inside quickly. Meanwhile, Frey still had something else to deal with. Because nearby, several thugs were trying to drag away a girl. Frey could not tolerate something like that, so he decided to take action himself. To find their hideout, he secretly followed them. But two large men soon blocked his path. So Frey used his superpower, money, and successfully entered their headquarters. A red-haired woman came to receive Frey. She even took out a set of photos and asked Frey to choose one of the girls. But Frey said he wanted to see them in person. The red-haired woman was about to refuse. So Frey once again used his superpower, money. The red-haired woman immediately welcomed him into the basement with a bright smile. Using the system to check her information, Frey discovered that this red-haired woman was actually one of the Demon King's subordinates. She even told the girls to greet him. The girls could only force out weak smiles. Frey was not satisfied with this. He said he wanted younger girls. As he said that, Frey took out another bag of gold coins. Only then did the red-haired woman open a hidden door. Once he had achieved his goal, Frey took down the red-haired woman with a single kick. Then he rushed straight inside. And sure enough, there was a group of children trapped inside. There was also a magic circle in the room. These children looked like sacrifices meant to awaken the Demon King. The red-haired demon woman soon chased after him with her subordinates. She ordered her men to capture Frey immediately. Frey first put on a mask. Then, with a single move, he took down several of them. The red-haired demon woman was terrified. While asking Frey what he wanted, she started begging him for mercy. She even tried to tempt him, saying a succubus could show him a very good time at night. Frey did not waste another word and pierced her body with one strike of his sword. After that, Frey rescued all the children. He also gave them the gold coins. The system announced, "Sudden mission completed. Reward obtained." One little girl, who remained behind, asked Frey how he knew they were trapped there. Frey noticed a system panel appear over the little girl, showing that she possessed unknown potential. If she trained properly, she would most likely become someone useful in the future. So Frey gave her the reward he had just received. Frey explained that this was also an investment in the future. The girl asked Frey for his name, saying that she would definitely repay her savior one day. Frey told her there was no need, because he had only fulfilled his duty as the hero. Before leaving, Frey also told the girl that she had to study magic seriously. The girl put the ring on her finger. She thanked the hero and promised that she would work hard to learn magic so she could repay him. So she asked the hero to please wait until that day came. At this moment, Frey still had no idea that this girl would one day bring him a new turning point that even the system could not predict. By the time Frey returned to the shop, Isol had already demolished the entire place, and she proceeded to scold him for a long time. Frey then told Isol that there would be an auction today, and black magic items would also be auctioned there. Isol immediately demanded to know where the auction was being held. Frey explained that no one could enter that place without an invitation ticket. Isol was anxious, but there was nothing she could do. However, it was not as if there was no solution at all. Frey told Isol to pretend to be his lover so they could sneak in together. Everyone attending the auction was wearing a mask. Although Frey was a little worried that Professor Isol might lose control, there was no one more reliable as a bodyguard. After all, this auction had something Frey wanted. Before long, Frey saw a familiar figure. Why was Kanya here? And the person beside her was even stranger. Princess Klana was here as well. The more Frey looked at the figures in front of him, the stranger it felt. Why was Saintus Fairloch here too? Frey could only pray that these people would not do anything weird. Fortunately, Irina was not here. Frey guessed that all three of them had probably come for that item, the Stone of Domination, that everyone wanted to obtain. Then, the host announced that the unidentified unknown stone was now up for auction. Frey knew that this was actually the Stone of Domination, an item that could suppress a target and control their mind. He had to obtain it for the next step of his plan, because this was an item the Demon King would acquire in the future. The host announced that the starting price was 1 gold coin. Frey immediately bid 15 gold coins, planning to show the world the financial power of the most powerful ducal family in the empire. The host asked if anyone wanted to raise the bid. Princess Klena bid 20 gold coins. Saintis Fairloch went even further and bid 10,000 gold coins. Judging from her panicked expression, she had definitely written down the wrong price. While silently complaining about how unbelievably stupid the Saintess was, Frey raised the bid to 11,000 gold coins. Then a blonde noble beside them raised it to 12,000. Frey could not understand why so many people were fighting over some random rock. He directly offered 13,000 gold coins. The blonde noble immediately bid 20,000. Frey raised it again to 22,000. The blonde noble went straight to 30,000. After Frey and that noble got into a crazy bidding war, the price finally reached 55,000 gold coins. The host struck the gavel, and Frey successfully won the item. Although it cost him a fortune, Frey had finally obtained the Stone of Domination. At that moment, Frey sensed an unusual presence. Kanya, who did not have enough money, had planned from the very beginning to steal the Stone of Domination using this method. Frey had no time to stop her. Kanya had already activated her black magic. The entire room was instantly swallowed by darkness. Clearly, she was trying to use the chaos to seize the Stone of Domination. Realizing that the situation was getting dangerous, Frey immediately rushed toward the stone. As long as he protected the stone, everything else could still be handled. But just as Frey was about to grab it, Klana kicked him. Although Frey blocked the attack, he was still sent flying. Klana questioned who Frey really was, because he was not supposed to be here. But Frey simply pointed downward at Klana, and Saintis Fairloch arrived at that exact moment. Only then did Klana realize that the bottom half of her clothes had been burned away by her own powerful mana. She immediately crouched down, blushing as she cursed Frey for being disgusting and shameless. The Saintess beside her also thought that someone this shameless had to be one of the Demon King's subordinates. So Fairloch launched a purification spell at Frey. There was a loud boom, but the effect did not seem nearly as strong as expected. After the smoke cleared, Saintess Fairloch still had no idea what had just happened. But Frey was completely unharmed. Just as the Saintess and the princess prepared to fight with everything they had, A figure suddenly flashed past both of them. The next second, they both lost the ability to fight, and that figure was the blonde noble who had been bidding against Frey earlier. His true identity was Eucalius, a great demon and one of the Demon King's subordinates. Frey could not understand why this guy was here. It turned out that Eucalius had also come for the Stone of Domination. Frey pretended to be confused and asked if that thing was really so important. But deep down, he had already realized that in his previous life, this guy must have been the one who took the Stone of Domination. Then, all of a sudden, Isol and Khania started fighting nearby. The reason was that Eucalius had brainwashed Isol, while Eucalius was still basking in his own power. Frey, who was even stronger than him, drew his sword. With a single slash, Frey killed the great demon Eucalius. At this point, a great demon was still far too weak for him. Seeing that Khania was no match for Isol and was about to be cut down, Frey rushed over and blocked the strike. Isol's blade landed directly on Frey's back. Because Frey was wearing a mask, Khania had no idea that this person was actually Frey. She also could not understand why this person had saved her. Even though Eucalius had been killed, Isol's brainwashing had not been undone. Frey was not sure whether his current body could defeat Professor Isol. After the two exchanged blows, Frey eventually managed to knock Isol unconscious. Once she woke up, the brainwashing should be released. Before Khania could ask who he was, Frey immediately left the scene. He had to fight through the pain and return to the dorm as soon as possible. Not long after, Princess Klana and Furloch finally woke up. Princess Klana then stepped on the red liquid on the floor. When she saw the severed head of the great demon Eucalius, she was so frightened that she jumped. Then Klana noticed Khania nearby. She immediately realized that Khania had also awakened the memories of her past life. So Klana directly asked Khania whether she was Frey's enemy or his friend. Khania answered without hesitation that she was Frey's enemy. Klana then invited Khania to join an alliance dedicated to eliminating Frey. They could meet regularly to discuss how to kill Frey. At this moment, Furloch still had no idea what was going on. Klana warned her that if she let the church take away her power again in this life, then she really would be the idiot Frey claimed she was. Just then, Khania seemed to discover something at the seam. Back at the dorm, Frey had just finished bandaging his wound. The sudden appearance of the Demon King's subordinate and the heroines had thrown his plan off course, but his identity probably had not been exposed yet. But then, Khania suddenly returned. She asked Frey where he had gone today, and Frey simply explained that he had gone out shopping with the professor. Then, without giving Khania a chance to keep questioning him, he told her that he was going to sleep. But Khania said that today, she had seen someone in the black market who looked very similar to young Master Frey. Although that person had hidden his face behind a mask, his swordsmanship felt very familiar. Frey decided he would just deny it to the bitter end. After all, she had no proof. But Khania immediately took out the evidence. It was the brooch Frey usually wore. Frey reached out, trying to take it back. But Khania said she had picked it up at the black market auction. She asked young Master Frey if he had dropped it because he was in too much of a hurry to run away. Frey still refused to admit anything and simply threw the brooch aside. He never expected his identity to be exposed this quickly. Khania directly lifted Frey's shirt, revealing the wound on his back. The same wound he had received when he blocked Isol's sword for her. The fallen brooch, combined with the wound on his back, made him look exactly like the masked man from the auction. Khania demanded that Frey explain what was going on. At that moment, Frey felt his heart suddenly tighten. The system announced, false villain's fate triggered. Life force and lifespan will be greatly reduced. Frey, lying on the bed, suddenly began coughing up blood, non-stop. He had not expected something like this to happen. With his life force and lifespan severely reduced, Frey immediately lost consciousness. Khania had no idea what was happening. Letting Frey die like this did not seem like a bad option, but she still wanted to ask him why he had killed her in their previous life. So Khania activated her black magic. She attempted to enter Frey's consciousness. While Frey was unconscious, she slipped into his subconscious to look through his memories. Khania discovered that Frey's consciousness was shockingly clear. Normally, the minds of sinners and villains were dark and clouded. Then, a young Frey appeared in front of Khania. Khania decided that he must be the owner of this consciousness space. So she immediately used magic to bind the boy. She ordered young Frey to swear that he would answer her questions truthfully. Only after young Frey confirmed it did she release him. Khania's first question was why Frey had saved her. Young Frey answered that it was because Kania was someone important to Frey. But for Kania, who had memories of her previous life, that reason was impossible to accept. Young Frey also knew that words alone would never be enough to explain this. So he directly pulled up Frey's memories. He let Kania see Frey's true self with her own eyes. Kania saw the moment Frey inherited the hero's fate. She saw Frey dying together with the Demon King in his previous life. She also saw Frey transferring life force to her every single night. Only then did she realize that everything Frey had done was for her, and all of his despicable actions had been done to save the world. And now, because she had discovered the truth, Frey had collapsed. Even though she hated him, he had still shared his life force with her every night. Kania could not bring herself to believe it. Young Frey told Kania that she did not need to blame herself. It was enough for Frey alone to be hated. After seeing all of his memories, Kania returned to reality. At that moment, Frey finally regained consciousness. He saw Kania, whose eyes were still wet from crying. Frey also knew that his secret had been exposed. He understood that Kania could not accept everything right away, but he still told her the reason behind it. He carried the mission of saving the world, but at the same time, he was restricted by a powerful system. The current Frey could only increase his energy through evil deeds. If someone discovered him doing something good, his lifespan would be reduced. Even though all of this was for the sake of saving the world, he had still committed many terrible acts. So Kania, you must never forgive me. Kania brought up the fact that Frey had been transferring life force to her every night. Now, she finally understood the reason behind all of Frey's strange actions. Frey asked her what she planned to do next. Kania said that she would serve young Master Frey just as she always had. The next day, at a cat cafe, Princess Klana met up with Saintess Fairloche and Kania. Klana and Fairlock both wanted to kill Frey immediately, but considering that they still had to live normally afterward, they had no choice but to deal with Frey quietly. As for Kania, she planned to act as Frey's spy and gather as much information for him as possible. Although she could not share the heavy burden Frey carried, she could at least do what little she was capable of. First, she would start with the small things. Even if it was only for a short while, she wanted Frey to live with a smile. After seeing Frey's memories, Kania had come to understand him, and she even thoughtfully prepared food for him. After that, it was time to transfer life force to Kania again. But this time, things were slightly different from before. Perhaps it was because of the system's punishment. After Frey transferred life force to Kania, her stomach suddenly started hurting badly. Frey realized that his life force and her black magic had mixed together. With no other choice, he had to draw the energy back out. After finishing all of that, Frey's arm had also been dyed black. The only fortunate thing was that it was his left hand, so it would not affect his daily life too much. When it was time for class at the academy, Frey had already bought every material and skill he could purchase. His next mission was to fight Irina and defeat her. The reward was an increase in lifespan. Frey understood that the next part would revolve around Irina's storyline. This mission also had no penalty, so he could handle it however he wanted. But Frey still decided to act as the villain, according to the prophecy book. Keeping every possibility under his control was the right move. Professor Isol announced that the midterm exam would be a series of one-on-one battles between students. Fighting Irina would be simple, but also a little troublesome. Depending on Frey's choice, the villain who appeared would also be different. Losing to Irina, defeating her, or running away during the match would each bring out a different villain. Right now, Irina was still being bullied by her classmates. Although she was barely holding on with defensive magic, the only reason they were beating her up was because young Master Frey was in a bad mood. At that moment, Frey also arrived at the scene. The blonde girl leading the group asked Frey what he was doing there. Frey said he had remembered the two women who had escaped before, so he questioned Irina and the other girl, asking why they had run away that day. Irina's friend tearfully accused Frey of being shameless. Frey then looked at Irina with a mocking expression and proposed a wager. She had to defeat him in the exam. Before he could even finish stating the conditions, Irina accepted. Frey said that if she won, he would give her 10,000 gold coins. But if she lost, she would drop out and become a slave for the rest of her life. Frey immediately took out an item to establish the contract. Irina still did not understand what it meant. Her friends all told her not to agree, but Irina accepted without even thinking. Two chains emerged from the skull-shaped item. One pierced Frey's heart. The other pierced Irina's heart. With that, the contract was officially complete, and neither side could break the agreement. Seeing this, the blonde girl thought Frey was unbelievably cool. Even when putting his life on the line to forge a contract, he showed no fear at all. He really was someone special. Frey told the blonde girl not to lay a hand on Irina and the others again, because he did not like using things that had already been used by someone else. In this way, Frey made a contract with Irina while also protecting her from being bullied. Right now, Irina was still suffering from mana depletion, so there was no way she could defeat him. The system announced, false villain points increased by 500. The skill shop has been unlocked. A new skill called mana transfer had appeared. It allowed Frey to transfer his own mana to someone else, but using it repeatedly could cause mana depletion or even death. Frey was also planning to secretly transfer mana to Irina. He also bought a skill called False Villain's Deception, which could make his lies more convincing. Frey thought this skill might be useful later. To test it out, Frey suddenly shouted, I'm a girl, I'm a girl. And Saintess Fairlock, who happened to be cleaning a window nearby, saw the whole thing. She even asked Frey if it was true, and the important part was that the Saintess actually believed him. She even thought this secret could be used to threaten Frey later. Frey wondered if he should chase after her and explain. But after thinking about it, he decided to give up. 3 days later at the training ground, Irina was still working hard to practice magic. She believed that the more she trained now, the higher her chances of winning later would be. Seeing how hard she was working, Frey was almost moved to tears. 5 fireballs floated above Irina's head. Even while suffering from mana depletion, she was still the great mage of the future. After training, Irina collapsed weakly onto the ground. Her good friend suggested that when Irina fought Frey, she could secretly help from the shadows. After all, that guy was a dirty scumbag who used black magic items. Irina fell silent after hearing that. Even Frey thought that one day he had to make a friend like that too. In the end, Irina still told her friend not to interfere. She wanted to defeat Frey through her own effort. Just then, a little bird flew over with a note tied to its leg. The note told Frey to follow the instructions and go to the sanctuary, or his secret would be exposed to the public. Ferlachi's name was also written on it, with a cross mark over it. Frey could only let out a long sigh after reading it. After that, Frey went to the sanctuary. Saintess Fairloch was waiting for him there. It looked like she really believed that Frey was a girl, and she even threatened to spread this secret everywhere. If Frey wore a maid outfit and served her, she would keep his secret. Frey was completely dumbfounded. He never expected this idiot to actually believe it. Frey had no choice but to tell the Saintess that he really was a man. But Fairloch still did not believe him, so she decided to confirm Frey's gender herself. She muttered that, for a girl, his chest was far too flat. Frey replied speechlessly that of course it was flat, because he was a man. Fairloch even wanted to confirm other areas, leaving Frey completely shocked. But Fairloche thought there was nothing wrong with a girl touching another girl. She simply refused to accept the fact that Frey was a man. She even argued that some girls had small chests too. Frey could only think that this Saintess was not just stupid, but also a total pervert. At that moment, Fairloch stopped pretending. She coldly said that she had originally thought this would mean she did not have to kill him. The next second, she grabbed Frey by the throat and slammed him down onto the floor. She said that Klana had originally planned to find his weakness and kill him, but she still wanted to save him. If you had just behaved, everything would have been fine. But now, you can only die. Fairloch choked Frey until foam came out of his mouth. Before long, Frey lost consciousness. Fairloch started crying as well, because she had killed someone. But she did not notice the brooch on Frey's chest. Just as Fairloch was about to take her own life, Frey, who should have been dead, suddenly got back up. Because of the emergency defense he had used earlier, Frey had not been harmed at all. Fairloch was shocked, because Frey should have been dead. But the moment she saw that Frey was still alive, she immediately recovered. Frey pressed the button on his brooch. Then it played back the words Fairloch had just said. Klana had originally planned to find your weakness and kill you. Frey had finally revealed his trump card. A Saintess and the third princess had joined hands to kill the son of a ducal family. What do you think would happen if this recording got out, Saintess? Because Saintess Fairloch had been caught by Frey, she was forced to wear a maid outfit and clean his room. She had already cleaned it 5 times, but Frey still ordered her to clean it again. Whenever she refused to obey, Frey would play the recording again. Klana had originally planned to find your weakness and kill you. Those words instantly gave Fairloch a fresh burst of motivation. But in the end, she could not keep going and collapsed from exhaustion. Frey then offered to give her a different job. That she spend the night with him, Ferloche said that even if her secret was exposed, she would never agree to that. After hearing that, Frey slapped her across the face. The system announced, false villain points increased by 500. Frey warned her that if she did not obey, he would spread her secret everywhere. If she did not want to go to hell, she had better behave. At that moment, Saintess Ferloche said that the Frey from the past had clearly been so kind and asked what had happened to him. A fragment of an old memory flashed through Frey's mind. But Frey could not remember what it was. It was clear that Ferloche was now truly disappointed in Frey. She continued cleaning the room according to his orders. Through the system panel, Frey discovered that Ferloche's mental state was extremely unstable. Anger, disgust, hatred, disappointment, and sorrow. Frey understood that even the last bit of affection she had for him was now gone. And that was exactly Frey's goal, because everyone who cared about him would eventually meet a terrible fate. With this, Ferloche was temporarily safe. After that, Frey returned to the dorm. Kanya could tell that Frey had been drinking. Frey told her not to worry, because he had often done this in his previous life. He also told Kanya to lie down quickly, so he could share today's life force with her. When he saw Kanya starting to undress, Frey quickly explained that transferring life force did not necessarily have to be done through her stomach. The two of them fell into an awkward silence. In the end, they decided that Frey would transfer life force to Kanya from behind. Frey asked Kanya if she had entered his subconscious and seen his memories. Kanya admitted that when young Master Frey had collapsed last time, she had indeed seen them. Frey finally understood why Kanya had chosen to help him. That night, Frey began having a nightmare. Kanya saw that Frey was in extreme pain, so she decided to pour mana into the cat plushie and enter Frey's dream. In the dream, Frey also noticed the plush cat. The dream was filled with thick fog. Frey could vaguely see someone standing there. It was Frey as a child, along with Ferloche. Ferloche asked Frey why he was giving her something like this. Young Frey explained that helping someone in need did not require a reason. But Ferloche thought Frey was trying to deceive her too. However, Frey had no memory of this scene at all. He remembered that his first meeting with Saintess Ferloche should have been at the sanctuary. Young Frey still placed the potion on the ground. He told her she could do whatever she wanted with it. Then, young Frey pointed at the tall building nearby and told her to go take a look. Even if she did not trust him, she should at least trust the people there. Ferloche felt that young Frey did not seem like a bad person, but she still suspected that he had another motive. After the fog disappeared, the Ferloche in the dream turned into stone. Frey realized that this was not an ordinary dream. What Ferloche had said before was not a lie. What had just happened should have been real. Frey guessed that someone had manipulated and altered his memories. After hearing Ferloche's words during the day, that memory had finally begun to return. Then, the surrounding fog turned into black smoke. Frey felt a terrible sense of unease. He felt as if he was being swallowed by his own memories. A voice was calling out to him. He saw the Saintess tied up with all kinds of weapons stabbed into her body. Frey did not understand why he was seeing this memory. Then, the blood-covered Klana and Irina asked Frey if he was happy. It seemed like other people were calling out to him as well. They were the dead Kanya and Serena. All of them seemed ready to swallow Frey whole. Just as Frey was about to be dragged in completely, Kanya, in the form of the plush cat, desperately held on to him. If he was dragged in now, Frey might turn into an empty husk. But with only the body of a small cat, Kanya could not save Frey. She could only watch as Frey was pulled inside. As Frey sank deeper and deeper, he eventually arrived at another place. It was a deep blue world. Then a voice said, "I finally made it in time. Just in case, I left as power inside your subconscious." Frey recognized that person as his mother. "From now on, you will no longer be troubled by dreams. This is the final gift I can leave you. You have chosen a path of thorns, and things will often not go the way you expect. So you must remember what matters most to you. Remember what you truly want to protect." Back in reality, Kanya woke up from the dream in shock. She hurriedly asked young Master Frey how he was feeling. Frey also realized that Kanya was the little cat. He then told Kanya that he had met his mother in the dream. His mother had told him that in his darkest hour, he had to remember what he wanted to protect. But Frey had no idea what he should do. If even his own memories had been manipulated, then what could he still believe? Even the prophecy book might be fake. Kanya hugged Frey and told him to believe in himself. She knew that young Master Frey had worked harder than anyone. Even if his memories had been manipulated, and even if all of his efforts so far came to nothing, she would never forget him. Frey knew that the path he had chosen was extremely difficult, but to protect the people important to him, he had already made up his mind to walk that path. Even if he failed in the end, all of his efforts up to now would not disappear. A few days later, the midterm sparring exam finally arrived, and Frey was ready to fight Arena. Frey had also raised mana transfer to level 3. He had practiced thoroughly with Kania as well. Now, it was Princess Clana's turn to spar with Saintus Fairlock. Professor Isol warned Ferloche not to even think about forfeiting. Ferloche told the professor not to worry because she had no intention of doing that. Princess Clana also flared her mana, looking completely fired up. Frey could tell at a glance that the two of them were definitely planning something. They would not attack him directly, right? Clana prepared to cast a spell. Ferloche also took her stance. One of Clana's spells was directly deflected by Fairlock. Only then did Frey realize that they were planning to deflect the spell toward him. Just as Frey was about to be hit by the magic, Professor Isol stepped in and blocked the spell in time. Isol warned the two of them. "I will treat it as a mistake this time. But if you did it on purpose, both of you will be disqualified." Clana and Fairlock realized there was nothing they could do, so they had no choice but to end the fight properly. Fairlock made the first move and threw a punch. Clana dodged the attack, then landed several punches on Fairlock. Fairlock was defeated on the spot. Professor Isol then announced Clana as the winner. Next was the battle between Frey and Irina. For this fight, Frey had prepared many different ways to lose. With Professor Isol overseeing the match, the sparring session was about to begin. Irina confidently displayed her fire magic. Frey knew the real show was finally about to start. Then he also activated his mana, causing a blue aura of mana to glow around him. The moment Professor Isol announced the start, Frey attacked first. 7 magic orbs floated above Irina's head, and she already looked like she was barely holding on. But before the fight even truly began, she started coughing violently. Frey prepared to follow his plan. He activated his mana and charged toward Irina. Then he grabbed her by the throat and pinned her to the ground. He mocked her. "A rat like you only deserves to crawl on the floor." But in reality, Frey was secretly transferring mana into Irina. The effects were immediate. Irina had already gathered a fireball behind Frey. When the fireball came flying at him, Frey did not dodge and let it hit him directly. He quickly dropped to the ground and pretended to be in pain. After recovering, Irina began charging an even larger magic orb. If this one spell landed, it would be enough. But in her rage, Irina pushed herself too hard. Before she could even fire the magic, she ran out of mana. Irina lost consciousness on the spot and collapsed to the ground. Professor Isol announced that if Irina did not stand up within 10 seconds, she would lose. Then Isol began the countdown. 10, 9, 8. If Irina had used a slightly smaller spell, things would not have ended up like this. But now, even if Frey kept injecting mana into her, she still might not be able to stand. Just then, a magic circle suddenly appeared beneath Frey and Irina's feet. Frey immediately realized that it was a teleportation magic circle. A flash of light swept over them, and the next second, Frey and Irina vanished from the spot. Professor Isol immediately told everyone to move back, because there might be other chain spells. At that moment, a girl stared blankly at the scroll in her hand. She could not believe it. Was this not supposed to be a recovery scroll? How did it turn into this? And she was none other than Irina's close friend. Meanwhile, Frey and Irina had been teleported to a great forest far away. Frey's plan had completely failed. Irina's mana had gone out of control, and with this accidental teleportation added on top, it was a total disaster. Frey first checked Irina's condition and found that she was not injured. She had only passed out from mana exhaustion. Then, Frey observed their surroundings. He realized that this place was the Ashen Forest, a place filled with magical beasts. A great mage suffering from mana depletion, and an extremely weakened hero. Whether the two of them can survive was still unknown. The person holding the magic scroll back then was probably Irina's close friend. But a teleportation scroll should not have helped Irina at all. Frey guessed that she had most likely grabbed the wrong scroll. However, that was something he could only figure out after they got back. Right now, the priority was finding a way to escape. Frey bought a deception mask from the system shop. Once worn, it could perfectly hide his identity. With the system's support, even if Irina stood right next to him, she would not recognize him. After getting ready, Frey finally woke Irina up. He also untied the ropes that had been binding her and warned her, "This place is dangerous. You were probably sent here by Frey's teleportation magic. But you are safe now. So let's hurry and leave." Irina asked who he was. Frey explained that he was an intelligence agent from the ducal family. After losing his value, he had been abandoned by them. When he tried to leave the ducal family, they brought him here to silence him. Irina bought his story surprisingly easily. Frey then added that he had just run into Frey earlier, and that guy thought he had seen a ghost and ran away. Wearing the mask, Frey invited Irina to escape with him. Irina still felt that something was suspicious, but after thinking it over, she decided to go alone. She believed that she still had a little mana left in her body, so it should be enough. As long as she did not run into a mid-level magical beast, she would be fine. The very next second, a high-level magical beast appeared in front of her. Before Irina could figure out what to do, Frey killed the magical beast with a single slash. Then he reminded Irina that traveling alone was truly dangerous. Just then, a group of goblins surrounded them. Frey grabbed Irina and ran. After they reached a safe place, Frey suddenly started coughing violently. He even coughed up blood, so he could only explain that an old illness had flared up. Irina thought it must be painful to cough while wearing a mask, so she suggested that he take it off for now. Frey then said that his face had rotted, and he did not want anyone to see it. Irina told Frey to wait there for a moment while she went out to gather some fruit. When they introduced themselves to each other, Frey even made up a fake name, Rina. After that, Irina went to pick fruit. Once Frey recovered, he also took off his mask. Luckily, Irina had not doubted the story he made up. The mission to decide the winner of his duel with Irina had also been paused. The Academy had probably kept the match result on hold. Since there was no penalty anyway, the priority now was figuring out how to escape from this place. After all, this forest was filled with danger. In the Ashen Forest, one wrong step could cost them their lives. Frey and Irina spent 3 days in the forest like that. Frey led her around while avoiding magical beasts. Irina was in charge of finding food. She thought of her close friend Ariane, who was probably very worried about her by now. At that moment, Frey returned carrying a wild boar. Irina had not expected a place like this to actually have wild boars. Still, she wondered why this disguised man was here in the first place. After all, this was not a place where anyone could live long-term. Frey scrambled for an explanation, saying that he had no way to survive after escaping from Frey. Irina said she was willing to think of a solution together with him, but Frey told her to take care of herself first. For the past 3 days, Irina had kept trying to persuade Frey, but nothing worked. Frey knew that asking Irina to abandon the person who saved her life would make her feel guilty, but there was no other choice. As Frey was about to eat some fruit, he realized that it was the ice dragon fruit he had eaten as a child. Because he had eaten it as a child and did not know its real name, he had casually given it that name. In truth, its real name was not ice dragon fruit, and only 2 people knew the name ice dragon fruit. At that moment, the ground began shaking violently. This place was where the Demon King's army dumped its trash. That included things like modified magical beasts. But Frey could handle most magical beasts. The only exception was a monster called the Dark Golem, something he still could not deal with in his current state. Frey immediately told Irina to run. He would stay behind and buy time. Even Frey was not sure whether he could defeat this monster right now. After all, this thing was supposed to appear as a boss much later in the story. Later on, the Demon King's army would recover the enemy energy it had absorbed. And even now, before absorbing that energy, it was still an unstoppable force. If Frey fought with everything he had, he might expose his identity in front of Irina. At that moment, the Dark Golem had already locked on to both Irina and Frey. A laser swept toward them, and Frey held Irina as he dodged the attack. He told Irina to hurry and escape, saying he did not have long to live anyway. That is exactly why you need to survive and get out. Then you can take revenge on Frey in my place. After hearing this, Irina felt that this person was somehow similar to Frey. She said she would never forget Rina's kindness. Before leaving, Irina even told him, "I will definitely kill Frey." Even Frey had to admire how good his acting was getting. Now that Irina had left, Frey could finally go all out and take down the Dark Golem. He slashed out with his sword and sent the Dark Golem flying. After taking damage, the Dark Golem immediately fired mana missiles. Dozens of missiles flew toward Frey. Frey swung his sword and cut them all down. If he still could not defeat the Dark Golem here, then Frey himself would be in serious danger. But unexpectedly, the dark golem was preparing to self-destruct. If it succeeded, not only would Frey be caught in the blast, but Irina would be injured as well. Frey flashed forward and charged straight at the dark golem. Then, he thrust his sword near its mana core. With a thunderous explosion, Frey finally managed to destroy the dark golem. But his disguise mask was also shattered by the impact. Frey himself was badly wounded. At that moment, scouting crows appeared in the sky. Other people would arrive here soon. To keep his identity from being exposed, Frey had no choice but to force his injured body to leave the area. But in the end, he ran out of strength and collapsed. Just then, a figure appeared and caught Frey. It was Kanya. The carriage was nearby, and Kanya prepared to take Frey back to the dorm immediately. After hearing that, Frey finally lost consciousness. 2 days later, Frey woke up in bed. The first thing he did after waking up was ask what the current situation was. Kanya explained what had happened. Irina's friend Ariane had used a scroll. She thought it was a recovery scroll, but it was actually a teleportation scroll. The investigator in charge also believed there was a high chance that the whole incident had been an accident. But Frey could not believe that it was just a coincidence. Just to be safe, he still had to investigate where that scroll came from. Irina had also returned to the academy safely. Kanya then told him about the exam result. In the end, Frey had been declared the winner. Fortunately, this mission had no penalty, and the mission itself had not ended yet. Once his injuries healed, there would still be time to think of another way. Kanya then told Frey that there was one more important matter. The reason they had been able to find young Master Frey so quickly was all thanks to the Duke. After hearing about the accident, he immediately went to the magic tower to ask about the scroll's whereabouts. But because the Duke traveled such a long distance to reach the magic tower, he collapsed from illness. He was still unconscious and had not woken up yet. After hearing that, even Frey could not hold back his emotions. He asked Kanya if he could borrow her shoulder for a moment. Leaning against Kanya's shoulder, Frey felt deeply saddened. A few days later, Frey, whose body had just recovered, prepared to take action again. At that moment, Irina came looking for him. Frey immediately mocked her. "You're nothing more than a stray dog saved by Irina." But even after being mocked like that, Irina did not talk back. She knelt before Frey and said she was willing to obey him. She also begged Frey to spare her close friend, Ariane. Frey knew that Irina had probably come to avenge Rina, while also trying to negotiate with him and gain some kind of advantage. Frey told Kenya to go prepare the carriage first. Then he told Irina a slave should obediently follow orders. He also demanded that Irina compensate him for the losses he suffered in the forest. At this point, Irina had no choice but to agree. Faced with an Irina who obeyed every word, even Frey could not feel interested. The system announced, half-hearted threat, points increased by 300. Before leaving, Frey reminded Irina to clean the room properly. Then Frey got into the carriage and prepared to head out. After this incident, Frey understood that his own strength was still not enough, so he decided to officially borrow Kanya's power. But because of Kanya's constitution, the amount of mana she could use was extremely limited. So Frey found an item that could help both Kanya and her younger sister. At the Duke's estate, Frey's father was lying in bed. Frey could not even stay by his father's side for long. If he stayed here for even 1 extra minute, people would start to suspect him. So he had to act like an unfilial son. Once the plan was complete, everything would be solved. After that, Frey went to the room of Kanya's younger sister and told Kanya to wait outside the door. Frey took out the item he had prepared earlier. It was a potential awakening item, something that could draw out the hidden potential inside a person. Whenever Kanya used black magic, it would drain away her life force. But her younger sister, Katya, had the ability to control black magic. As long as Katya drank this potion, she would awaken her ability. This was also something mentioned in the prophecy book. Just then, a girl behind Frey suddenly cast magic at him. Frey was sent flying by the spell. The girl thought Frey had fed Katya an aphrodisiac. And this girl was Frey's younger sister, Aria. She angrily questioned Frey. "Father is already sick, yet you are still doing something this disgusting here." But even though his own sister had misunderstood him like this, Frey could not explain anything and could only respond with cruel words. Frey shoved Arya away. He coldly replied, "Father's illness has nothing to do with me. And since he conveniently collapsed, I am now the head of the Sarat family. Everything in this household, including Katya and you, Arya, is mine to deal with however I please." Frey ordered Arya to leave, saying he was about to start enjoying himself. Arya desperately tried to stop him. She asked him where her once kind older brother had gone. Frey threw Arya aside. He warned her, "I will let it go today, but you had better never show me that crying face again." The system announced, not even sparing family, false villain points increased by 300. Arya could not understand what had happened to her brother. Where had her once kind brother gone? This incident hit Frey hard, but when he thought about how he had to save the people he loved, Frey had no choice but to suppress those feelings. After Katya's ability awakened, Kanya's power also increased dramatically. Now, she could even create a clone of Frey. Frey told Kanya to infiltrate the minds of the commoner students and monitor the surrounding area. Irina had been successfully brought under control, and he had also found the weaknesses of the other two heroines. The main quest completion rate was still very high. Come to think of it, Serena should have returned from her trip by now, right? Somewhere on the western continent. Serena was investigating something. This place was a ruin left behind by the hero from 1,000 years ago. There, she discovered a letter left by that hero. In all likelihood, Serena had already discovered Frey's secret. Not long ago, after Frey finished visiting his father, he left the ducal estate. Before leaving, he had no intention of seeing his younger sister, Arya, because seeing her would only make things more painful. In the carriage, Camilla asked Frey for more details about the mission so she could help him. Frey told her that the original main quest was to catch the culprit behind the attack on the commoner dorm. If he lost to Irina in their duel, he would become the culprit who attacked the dorm, then turn himself in, and the mission would end there. But the problem now was that the duel plan had failed, so no one would know who the true dorm attacker was. If Frey staged the whole thing himself, another attacker might appear instead. That was why he had Kanya monitor the area for any demons nearby. Because the Empire's current corruption made it the perfect time for demons to invade. The resentment caused by the nobles meant it would be no surprise if bloodshed broke out now. The prophecy book had also stated that if Frey failed, the Demon King would make a move. Right now, the urgent priority was to find the demon disguising itself as a human. To find that demon, Frey needed to buy some items. So he went to the Empire's back alleys. After buying the items, Frey was ready. He also gave Kanya a demon detector. The system would also monitor the movements of high-ranking demons. Frey asked Kanya whether she had started investigating Serena's movements. If Serena took certain actions, even Frey would not be able to find her easily. After all, she was the heir of the Moonlight family, a clan of assassins that handled the Empire's assassination missions. At that moment, Frey noticed some children on the street. They were the same children who had been captured by the succubus last time. Although Frey had given them gold coins before, the children did not dare use them. If adults discovered that they had gold, it would be stolen from them. Frey had not expected his previous rescue to be almost completely useless, so he decided to build an orphanage. As the hero, he could not simply ignore something like this. Kanya immediately rejected the idea. If this was exposed, it would become a serious problem. Frey took out the reward he had received after defeating Irina the lifespan meter. He was not going to live long anyway, so saving as many people as possible now could at least reduce some of his sins. Kanya told Frey not to say things like that. If he insisted on building the orphanage, then they should build it under her name. That way, the children should be able to settle down safely. Frey's next move was to attend the royal ball in his father's place. With his fiancée as a shield, he would not have to worry about people pestering him. Meanwhile, on the other side, the queen was trying to persuade Princess Clanna to marry Frey. If they allowed the Moonlight family, a clan of assassins, to marry into the hero's family, it would threaten the royal family. Clanna knew very well that these people were only after the hero's family wealth. The queen even threatened Clanna, saying that if she did not obey, she would be sold off. Clanna thought that if they were going to force her to marry Frey, they might as well just kill her. Not long after, Frey and Kanya were still searching for demons around the academy, but they still found nothing today. At that moment, Kanya handed Frey a letter, and Frey had just been thinking about inviting Kanya to the ball. Frey opened the envelope. Inside, it said that the Emperor had ordered Frey Raverseret to break off his current engagement and marry Princess Clanna instead. The letter also stated that this was the second covenant made between the founding Emperor and the first hero 1,000 years ago. The news left Frey completely frozen. Kanya also asked in confusion what was wrong. Frey had not noticed that the prophecy book contained this covenant as well. After the news that Frey was getting married spread, a crowd of girls immediately surrounded him. Everyone wanted to get engaged to Frey, because somehow, the news that his current engagement was being broken off had leaked out. Kanya pushed the women aside. She told them that young Master Frey's fiancé had already been decided. The women shot back, declaring that they would never give up. Frey also used this opportunity to avoid meeting his fiancée, Serena. Meanwhile, in the library, Klana was still searching through documents, but no matter how hard she looked, she could not find any clues about the covenant. She wanted to enter the secret archive and investigate the marriage covenant, but without her father's permission, she could not get inside. 1,000 years ago, the royal family destroyed the Demon King and founded the empire. At the time, two major families had served as the royal family's key supporters. One was the hero's family that defeated the Demon King, the Sarat family. The other was the Moonlight family, which hid in the shadows and helped the emperor handle dirty work. To reward these two families, the emperor granted them extraordinary authority. Even the emperor himself could not freely interfere in the affairs of those families. The so-called master-servant relationship was almost nothing more than a title. For the past 1,000 years, the emperors had constantly sought help from the two great families. Yet now, the emperor had suddenly ordered their engagement to be broken. Klana could not imagine what kind of covenant could make something like this possible. At that moment, Frey came looking for her. He teased her. "What is my future wife thinking about so intensely?" Klana felt that Frey was mocking her. Frey told her not to be like that, since the two of them would be living together for the rest of their lives. Klana refused to give Frey any chance and turned to leave. But Frey said, "I came all this way just to see you, so you should be a little kinder to me. After all, we are both companions being toyed with by our ancestors, so there is no need to act like this." Klana immediately realized that Frey also knew about the covenant. Frey acted like it was no big deal and said it was written in an old book from his family. Apparently, the founding emperor had admired the first hero, so he wrote some complicated terms into the covenant. Frey then handed this knowledge over to Klana. After that, he turned around and prepared to leave, telling her to get ready to marry him. Compared to the Moonlight family, choosing the royal family might be the better option. Frey also told Klana not to worry. "As long as you behave for the rest of your life, I will eventually set you free." This was the biggest hint Frey could give her. As long as Klana noticed this hint, she would be able to avoid marrying Frey. Meanwhile, on the other side, Serena had summoned someone. She was the master of the Empire's magic tower. Serena had called the magic tower master here because she truly had something to ask of her. She wanted the magic tower master to erase her memories. The magic tower master could not understand why someone like Serena, who seemed to have no worries at all, would want her memories erased. Serena told her not to think too much about it. She only needed to erase Serena's memories from the past month. The magic tower master was shocked, because erasing an entire month of memories could be too much for the body to withstand. But there was no other choice. Although Serena had discovered the hero's secret, if she kept investigating endlessly, she might truly be unable to endure it. There was one more thing. She also wanted an absolute obedience spell placed on herself. The target she would obey was Frey Ravo Sarat. That way, when Serena attended the ball, she would not kill him. 6 hours before the ball began, Klana still had not solved the code Frey had left for her. Kanya, transformed into a cat, arrived there. She dropped off a book. This was the final hint Frey had left for Klana. And with that, Klana finally discovered the secret behind the covenant. Not long after, the ball officially began. Once the ball ended, Frey's goal would be achieved. He could break off his engagement with the Moonlight family, and his marriage with Klana would also fall apart. There would be no problem. He had already given her the hint. As long as Klana discovered that thing, everything would be fine. And if she failed to discover it, Frey would personally refuse the marriage. Now, all that remained was his deal with the Empress. At that moment, a blonde woman came looking for Frey. She was the same nasty woman who had bullied Irina before. Frey asked her what she wanted. The blonde woman sneered. "You are so pitiful. To think you have to marry the worst woman in the royal family. What a disappointment. If you get engaged to me instead, I can provide you with plenty of wealth and power." After saying that, she turned and left. Frey knew that these people were only jealous. Next, he prepared to handle the real business. Frey arrived at the Empress's residence. The room was decorated with a very girlish atmosphere. When Frey learned that the Empress had designed it herself, he quickly praised her excellent taste. After that, the Empress also arrived. The Empress asked Frey, "How does it feel to become a member of the royal family?" With this, no one would be able to interfere with him anymore. The reason the Moonlight family had not objected was probably because their mouths had been sealed with money. 1,000 years ago, the Moonlight family had been noble and righteous, but now They were nothing more than a family obsessed with money. Their reason for marrying Serena to Frey was also money. Frey handed the Empress a list of gold coin donations. As long as he got engaged to Clanna, he would donate 6 million gold coins to the royal family. This fortune far exceeded the Empress's imagination. Frey then handed the Empress a contract filled with various clauses. The Empress looked over the terms with a puzzled expression. One of the clauses stated that Frey could not be arrested for any crime except treason. Frey's reason was that he wanted to do some dirty work for the royal family, so he needed the royal family to guarantee his safety. And conveniently, the royal family also needed someone like that. This was exactly what the Empress wanted. There was also another clause stating that if Frey himself did not cancel the engagement, then all donated funds would be withdrawn. This was a precaution Frey had prepared just in case. The Empress told Frey, "You do not need to worry about something like that, because Clanna has no way to resist this marriage." But Frey had written that clause precisely because he knew this marriage would never happen. It was because of greedy people like this that the Empire had become what it was today. As long as everything ended smoothly, this game of pretending to be a villain would at least become a little entertaining. After finishing his conversation with the Empress, Frey found Clanna waiting outside the door. She asked, "Have you finished discussing the marriage deal with the Empress?" Frey naturally refused to admit it and said, "We were merely discussing a few suggestions for strengthening the nation." Clanna mocked Frey. "You are ridiculous. You only care about satisfying your own desires. For that reason alone, I will never let you have your way." Frey guessed that Clanna had probably found the clue he left for her. In other words, everything was going according to plan. As Frey checked the contract in his hand, Kania reminded him that she had not seen Serena anywhere. The invitation had clearly been delivered, but the Moonlight family had refused to attend. Frey believed that Serena would still come in order to kill him. But according to the information Kania had gathered, Serena showed no signs of making a move for now. She was originally supposed to try to kill Frey like the others, but so far, she had not taken any action at all. Soon, the ball officially began. The Emperor and the Empress also arrived at the venue. The Emperor announced the engagement between third Princess Clanna and Frey. He said it was based on the covenant between the founding Emperor and the first hero. But before he could even finish speaking, the Emperor started yawning. So, he simply let the Empress take over. The Empress then invited Frey and Clanna onto the stage. The two of them, both dressed elegantly, stepped onto the stage together. The Empress first asked Frey, "Do you agree to this engagement?" Frey knelt on one knee and replied, "I do." Then he took Clanna's hand and proposed to her. The Empress then asked Clanna, "Do you agree to this engagement?" But Clanna publicly declared, "I do not agree to this engagement." Everyone watched the scene with mocking eyes. The Empress pointed at Clanna and coldly told her, "You have no right to refuse." Clanna revealed the true content of the covenant. The covenant between the first hero and the founding emperor clearly stated that the engagement could only be established if both sides agreed. After saying that, Clanna asked the emperor to confirm whether it was true. The emperor did not deny it and only found the situation more interesting, because even he had not known about the contents of this covenant. The emperor explained that this marriage might have been too rushed, and the empress had not asked for Clanna's opinion. Then he asked Frey whether he could accept canceling the engagement. Frey immediately stood up and began acting. He complained to everyone, "I cannot accept this sudden heartbreak. My heart feels like it is being torn apart. But if Princess Clanna's happiness is not by my side, then there is nothing I can do." The emperor then naturally apologized to everyone and said that as for the cancelled engagement, everyone should simply continue enjoying the ball. After that, the empress rushed over in anger. She threatened to sell Clanna off, but Clanna said she did not care, and that she would expose the empress's illegal actions. Frey also apologized to the empress, saying, "This is truly unfortunate. The donation money I prepared will have to be taken back. As for the authority to never be arrested, I will just make use of it for now." Clanna had not expected that the empress had actually sold something like that. This ball had turned into a massive win for Frey. Not only did he lose his fiancée and cancel the engagement, but he also obtained a royal agreement that protected him from arrest. At that moment, the blonde woman appeared in front of Frey. She said, "Princess Clanna went too far by embarrassing you in public. If it were me, I would have done much better." Frey told her to disappear immediately, saying, "Just seeing your face makes me sick." The blonde woman instantly lost her composure and asked, "What did I do wrong?" Frey did not want to listen to her nonsense and told her, "Get lost." After being insulted by Frey in public, the blonde woman broke down on the spot and spat out a harsh threat before leaving. After that, Frey found Kania. Kanya told Frey that something serious had happened. She also handed him a letter, along with a message from his former fiancée, Serena. Come to the courtyard immediately, or I will kill you. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Demon King gave the crow a system item that would prevent its identity from being exposed. She also wanted to know how the hero would perform in the very first main quest. In the courtyard outside the ball, Serena was waiting for Frey. The engagement had already been cancelled, so there should not have been anything else to deal with. When Serena walked toward him, Frey instinctively tried to defend himself. Serena explained, "I knew you would not come for no reason, so I deliberately used that threatening message." Serena said that she wanted to help Frey, but she seemed to have lost her memories, so she did not know where to start. She had only learned about the cancelled engagement and the ball through the diary she had left behind. Frey had no idea what Serena was talking about. Serena also played dumb and asked, "Are you talking about the ball, Frey?" But of course, that was not what Frey wanted to know. He clearly wanted to know about Serena losing her memories. Serena explained, "I was traveling for the past month, but my memories of that entire time have been erased. And the person who erased those memories was Serena herself. On top of that, she had also placed an absolute obedience spell on herself, and the person she had to obey was Frey. The reason she had done all of this was to help Frey, although she did not know what her past self had seen in the hero's ruins 1 month ago. Frey immediately guessed that Serena must have learned something, because the hero's ruins scattered across the country recorded the hero's true nature. Frey had thought no one could read those inscriptions, but Serena might have deciphered them through reasoning and context. She erased her memories to prevent Frey from being punished by the system. Frey knew Serena was a genius, but he never expected her to go this far. Serena told Frey, "Do not think too much about it. If I end up remembering something, that would only cause trouble." Frey told her she had no reason to help him, but Serena gave him her reason. "Because I like you. Even if you are trash, I still like you." Before leaving, Serena told him, "If you ever need help, you can come to me anytime." Frey felt like she had him completely wrapped around her finger, so he could only look at the bright side. With Serena's help, he would gain access to the Moonlight family's intelligence network, and with the royal authority preventing his arrest, completing the first main quest should become much easier. Meanwhile, the Magic Tower Master was still complaining that Serena was far too good at ordering people around. "If she weren't my disciple..." At that moment, a little girl suddenly asked, "Would you like to buy some bread?" The Magic Tower Master told her to hurry up and move aside. But the little girl looked at her with a pitiful expression, unable to resist the girl's request. The Magic Tower Master eventually decided to buy one. She had originally come here because she sensed a powerful source of mana. "Here," the Magic Tower Master said, tossing the little girl a gold coin. The little girl said, "I want to help you too. I might look young, but I can actually use magic." The Magic Tower Master told the girl, "Stop lying. I cannot sense any mana from you." But the very next second, the little girl actually used magic. That surge of mana shocked the Magic Tower Master. The powerful mana she had sensed earlier must have been coming from this little girl. The Magic Tower Master excitedly grabbed the girl. She asked, "What is your name?" She even declared, "I want to take you in as my disciple." Meanwhile, at the Demon King's castle, the Demon King complained, "Being trapped here as punishment is far too boring." So she summoned Crow and decided to begin moving. Starting today, they would attack the Commoner dorm. The Demon King's army would also use this chance to enter the Empire. She then ordered Crow to find someone with intense jealousy. That way, the domination effect would become even stronger. She also told Crow to bring the item from last time. At the same time, inside the Academy dorm, Frey was still thinking about how to begin his plan. Kanya thought he was worrying about how to handle things afterward. But Frey said there was no need to worry about that. After all, he had the document from the Empress that protected him from arrest. Kanya was still worried that they might not be able to catch the culprit. But Frey knew that was impossible. The demon detector could detect all forms of disguise magic. The only exception it could not detect was the hero who possessed the system. So as long as the culprit appeared, they would definitely find them. At that moment, Serena came looking for him. Kanya felt that Serena was being very rude by entering someone else's room without permission. But Serena said, "I am simply entering my fiancé's room." She even started checking the room, as if trying to see whether the two of them had been up to something inappropriate. Frey also asked Serena in confusion, "Didn't you say I should only call you when action is necessary?" Why did you suddenly come here? Then, Serena suddenly changed the subject. She questioned Kanya instead. Why are you here? Are you trying to kill Frey? Kanya replied, that is absolutely impossible. Serena carefully examined Kanya's pupils and reactions. Then she judged that Kanya was not lying. She also told Frey that he could trust this servant, and coincidentally, Frey had something to ask Serena for. Before that, he ordered Serena, believe in me no matter what. Because Serena, who had discovered the hero system, had someone place a spell on her that forced her to obey Frey. Under the influence of that obedience spell, Serena clearly reacted. With this, Frey could avoid the system's punishment. The false villain system would not punish Frey just because someone suspected or guessed the truth. Only when someone became completely certain, like Kanya had back then, would Frey be punished. Frey told Serena to arrange for the Moonlight family's people to monitor the commoner dorm. Serena also asked why he wanted her to do that. Frey ordered her again, do not do anything unnecessary. If you notice anything abnormal, report to me immediately. After that, Serena prepared to leave. Before leaving, she even told Frey, I love you. That actually left Frey feeling a little flustered. Even Kanya could not help commenting that Serena was still impossible to understand. Now, Frey only had to wait for the main quest to begin. The Moonlight family's personnel had already been arranged. For now, they had not discovered anything abnormal, but catching the demon was only a matter of time. After arranging her people, Serena also went to check several important locations, and Crow, the Demon King's subordinate, was secretly watching her. Crow thought this woman Serena was not simple because it could not sense even the slightest emotion from her. The Demon King had said that not just anyone could become the attacker. They needed someone who could use black magic. Only then could the seal suppressing the Demon King be broken. They also needed someone capable of drawing a magic circle and sacrificing the entire commoner dorm. Before long, Crow found a suitable target. It was the blonde girl who had been insulted by Frey before. Because Frey had humiliated her at the ball, she was now thinking of taking revenge on him. That intense negative emotion was exactly what drew Crow to her. So Crow chose her as its vessel. It poured the Demon King's black magic into the blonde girl's body. Crow demanded, evil human, answer me. What are you now? The blonde girl answered, I am the Demon King's servant. Then she went off to attack the commoner dorm. Meanwhile, Frey was still enjoying his morning, drinking coffee and thinking about how many good things had happened recently. He was even planning to take Kanya out for a walk, and maybe buy her some clothes. Kanya blushed as she wondered if this was actually a date. But at that moment, Serena suddenly burst into the room. She told Frey that strange mana was flowing out from the commoner dorm. And so, Frey and Kanya's plan to go clothes shopping had to be postponed. When they arrived at the commoner dorm, they found black smoke rising into the sky. The system also announced, stop the incident and capture the culprit. An ordinary person could not possibly possess such powerful mana, so Serena had already withdrawn the surveillance troops. They had been monitoring the area the entire time without finding anything unusual, and the magic detector had not reacted either. Frey then realized that there might be noble students inside. Serena was also confused about what was going on. Frey realized that he had forgotten to tell Serena that the culprit could also be a noble student. But why had the magic detector not reacted? Frey no longer had time to think about anything else. Right now, the most important thing was to capture the culprit first. Then he could use the Stone of Domination to control them. Just in case, Frey had brought it with him this time. The best outcome would be to order the culprit to claim that Frey was the one behind everything. But at that moment, Princess Klana, Saintess Ferloche, and Irina also arrived. Frey quickly pulled Serena and Kanya into hiding. They had also sensed evil mana nearby. So they were planning to enter the dorm and rescue the students trapped inside. Frey knew that Irina lived here, but why were the princess and the saintess here too? Clearly, the three of them had been contacting each other in private without him knowing. Serena asked Frey to explain what was going on, while Frey told Kanya to cast an isolation spell and keep everyone away from this place. This made Serena a little irritated. So before Kanya could do it, Serena cast the isolation spell first. Then, she asked Frey what they should do now. Now that things had developed to this point, Frey only had one option left. He had to find the attacker. Then he would order the attacker to identify Frey as the culprit, and that would complete the mission. Even if it caused chaos, it did not matter, because Frey had the special privilege that protected him from arrest. Frey told Serena, I'm going inside the dorm now to find the source of the mana. All you need to do is assist me. After that, Frey and the other two sprang into action. As soon as they entered the dorm, a huge monster suddenly lunged at Frey. Frey did not even have time to react before Serena stepped in and blocked the monster for him. And the bigger problem was that there were quite a lot of monsters here. Serena waved her fan and dealt with them with ease. Frey could not even imagine how terrifying it would be if Serena were his enemy. Then they discovered magic circles on the floor. At that moment, Kanya also found something else nearby. It turned out that the maids in charge of the dorm had been imprisoned there. Frey told Kanya to enter their subconscious and check their memories. But after trying, Kanya discovered that she could not do it at all. Something seemed to be blocking her, which shocked Frey. After all, when it came to subconscious magic, no one was supposed to surpass Kanya. Even the Magic Tower Master and the Saintess were far inferior to her. Frey could not imagine that the Demon King's army had someone this talented. At that moment, Frey realized that the dorm attack was probably connected to the Demon King. Most likely, the Demon King had launched this operation through one of her executive class subordinates. But Frey still could not understand why the Demon King would bother with something this minor. Just then, Serena came over. She said, "The situation around here feels very strange. There are plenty of monsters here, yet not a single injured human. So someone is most likely controlling them. And the person controlling them is probably the attacker." From the first floor to the third floor, there were suspicious magic circles everywhere. The entire dorm was probably already covered by the magic formation. In other words, this magic array used by the Demon King's army required living humans as sacrifices. Frey also remembered that the sacrificial magic array was only a secondary array. When he rescued those children from the succubus queen before, it had been the same kind of setup. So there should also be a large main array somewhere, one that released all of the mana at once. That meant the culprit was most likely on the rooftop. If they did not destroy the magic array quickly, everyone here would die. At that moment, the blonde woman was casting magic on the rooftop. Even Crow felt that this woman was the perfect host. With such intense negative energy, the magic array would be completed in just 1 hour. Just then, Frey arrived at the scene. He immediately swung his sword toward Crow, but after the dust settled, the blonde woman was still under control. Frey realized that an attack of that level had not done much. At the same time, Crow hovered above the blonde woman's head and mocked his foolishness. Even if you see through the true body, it will not change the result. Then Crow controlled the blonde woman and fired a black magic attack. Serena immediately blocked the strike, and then she sent the attack right back at them. Kanya and Serena suggested that they would handle the blonde woman, while Frey dealt with Crow. With the advantage now on his side, Frey asked Crow, "Do you have any other allies?" Crow had not expected Frey to be acting with others, but it figured all it had to do was dominate his mind. As it spoke, Crow flew straight toward Frey, and Frey happened to want to see who would dominate whom. He directly took out the Stone of Domination. The moment Crow saw the Stone of Domination, it immediately realized what it was. But the Stone of Domination had already taken effect. Crow, now under domination, fell straight from the air, and the blonde woman who had been controlled by Crow was released from the brainwashing as well. Kanya was relieved that the battle was finally over. If it had dragged on any longer, the outcome might not have been so clear. Just as Frey was about to remove the magic array, Princess Klana, Saintess Fairloche, and the fire mage Irina arrived. Irina firmly believed that Frey was the one behind everything happening here. Saintess Fairloche also began praying for God to grant her the power to execute Frey. Even Frey had not expected them to show up at this exact moment. Klana looked at Kanya and Serena in confusion, asking, "Why are you together with Frey?" After glancing around awkwardly, Kanya explained, "I also sensed a strange presence and came to check it out. And then I found that evil bastard Frey here." In her heart, she silently hoped young Master Frey would not take it personally. Serena stepped in front of Frey and told everyone, Frey is not a bad person. He also came here this time to catch the culprit. But then Serena suddenly seemed to remember something and asked Frey, "Why did we come here again?" At this point, Frey only wanted to retreat as soon as possible. He had to turn the situation around before things became even stranger. The mission was almost complete. As long as he escaped and turned himself in afterward, the mission would be finished. The problem was that only Frey knew how to fully dismantle the magic array. If dismantled incorrectly, something terrible could happen, so he could not leave it to anyone else. But the Stone of Domination could only be used once per day, and he had no other option. So Frey took an extreme approach and forcibly activated the Stone of Domination. A dazzling light burst out from Frey's body. Crow, which had fallen to the ground earlier, and the nearby monsters were all affected. As the light grew stronger and stronger, the princess, the saintess, and the others assumed that Frey had summoned more monsters. Crow, which had been lying on the ground, flew back above Frey's head. By forcing the Stone of Domination out of control, Frey could briefly throw the monsters into confusion. While everyone's attention was drawn to the monsters, Frey pretended to be controlled by Crow and casually began destroying the magic array. Standing in the middle of the array, Frey started acting. Foolish humans, become offerings to the Demon King. Kwana believed that Frey had finally revealed his true nature. But Kanya said, something feels a little strange. Frey should be far more sinister than this. If he were really doing something evil, he would never do it so openly. Frey silently praised Kanya for the perfect assist. Then, Frey controlled Crow and announced to everyone, I have already dominated this guy. Nothing you do now will matter. Kanya immediately pointed out that the Crow had taken control of Frey. But the princess, the saintess, and the fire mage did not care. They decided to defeat Frey first. Frey also planned to dismantle the magic array while fighting them. The confused monsters began fighting them as well, but there were far too many monsters, so they could not free themselves for the moment. Klena said they had to defeat both Crow and Frey first. Kanya added that they could not let Frey die yet. If the host died, something might go wrong with the magic array. Klana suggested destroying the magic array first, but the fire mage immediately objected. The magic array was far too delicate. If they attacked it by force, it might go completely out of control. In the end, they decided that Klana and Freyloch would hold Frey back, while Kanya and the fire mage dealt with the monsters. Klana attacked from a distance with magic. Freyloche charged directly in front of Frey. She blocked Frey's sword with her fist. But Frey still knocked her back with a single strike. Frey was relieved that they had not attacked the magic array, otherwise it would have exploded immediately. Only Frey could dismantle this magic array safely. Another attack came flying in, and Frey swung his sword to block it. The attack, deflected by his blade, landed perfectly outside the magic array. It had been fired by Serena from the side. On the surface, she claimed she was helping the princess and the others. But Frey thought Serena was terrifyingly smart, because she had instantly understood the situation. With this, his actions would become much easier. There was only one way to dismantle this magic array without any side effects. He had to mix his own mana into the demon-made magic array. Then, when the magic array activated again, it would disappear completely. Crow, under Frey's control, mocked everyone. No matter what you do, you cannot stop the magic array from activating. Even though everyone was exhausted, they still prepared to stop him. But among the 5 of them, 2 were actually on Frey's side, and one of them was low on mana. Clearly, defeating the current Frey would not be easy. At that moment, Frey suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. At the critical moment, his strength was starting to fail him. Klana and Freyloche seized the opportunity. Just as they were about to finish Frey off, Frey prepared to use all of his mana. Even if he ended up with mana depletion and had to lie in bed for several days, it did not matter. He could leave the rest to Kanya. 2 different colors of mana began flowing out from around Frey. He continued acting and declared, all of you will become offerings to the Demon King. Klana and Freyloche prepared to step forward and stop him. But Frey told them, it is already too late. With a thunderous boom, an explosion rang out. They all thought something terrible was about to happen. But in the end, nothing happened. They only saw Frey lying on the ground while the magic array was disappearing. Serena explained that the magic array had probably gone out of control and disappeared on its own. Kanya knew that this was all young Master Frey's doing. So, she told everyone that the magic array must have gone out of control and caused Frey to pass out. Now they could capture him. Klana and Freyloche also agreed that Frey was completely incapacitated. They just could not understand why Frey had failed. They guessed that Frey had probably run out of mana. After all, controlling the Demon King's mana with a human body was never going to be easy. Kanya suggested, let's take Frey to the hospital first, and wait until he regains consciousness. Serena held Frey, who was bleeding from his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, and cried out, wake up quickly. Kanya also realized that something was wrong with Frey. Among these 3 people, someone must have figured out what Frey had really done. But the fire mage, Irina, felt that something was off. Starting from the Ashen Forest, that person named Rina had seemed strange. Everything about him felt too similar to Frey, and he even knew about the ice dragon fruit, a name only she and Frey should have known. In that instant, Irina had suspected that Rina was actually Frey, but after thinking about it, she felt that it should be impossible. Yet the more she observed Frey just now, the stranger he seemed. He was far too similar to Rina from back then. On top of that, the mana in the magic array had been getting weaker and weaker. And after Frey released that final burst of mana, the magic array actually disappeared. The others still could not understand what had happened, but Irina was already starting to suspect that Frey had neutralized the magic array, because while everyone had been panicking, she noticed one detail that everyone else had missed. She had seen it with her own eyes. Frey was the one who erased the magic array. The sacrificial magic array had not failed. Frey had saved everyone. Irina could not understand why Frey would do something like that. She also realized that Rina had been Frey all along, and the moment she confirmed her suspicion, blood began pouring from Frey's mouth and nose. Meanwhile, at the Demon King's castle, the Demon King also noticed that Crow's signal had disappeared. In other words, she had lost this main quest confrontation. The Demon King's main quest was to attack the commoner dorm and activate the sacrificial magic array. If she succeeded, the seal on the Demon King's castle would be lifted. If she failed, the seal would remain, but she would be allowed to use a portion of her power. Because the Demon King's quest had failed, she had to follow the false saint's fate and remain trapped inside the Demon King's castle. The Demon King demanded of the system, "Exactly how long am I supposed to stay here? If I am meant to fight the hero, why am I trapped inside the Demon King's castle? This is way too unfair. The fact that I cannot leave is the real reason the mission failed." The system announced, "I even bought you an item to hide your identity and you still failed. This is simply because you are incompetent." The Demon King argued, "This is clearly because you placed too many restrictions on me." But the system replied, "This is all because you did not fight the hero with everything you had back then." After displaying 3 dots of silence, the system finally decided to unlock part of the Demon King's abilities. The avatar ability was unlocked, allowing the Demon King to move a portion of her consciousness into an avatar and act through it. Just as the Demon King prepared to go all out, the system added, "The avatar can only use a portion of the main body's power each day." The Demon King felt that the system was being far too stingy. But the system told her, the hero does not even know who his opponent is. The Demon King had no choice but to accept this result. But she still believed that in the end, she would be the one to win. The Demon King pushed open the gate that had sealed her away. At last, she stepped into the outside world. She sneered, "I'm out now. You have no chance of winning anymore." Meanwhile, Frey's consciousness gradually began to blur. The next second, he found himself in a forest. He had just been inside the commoner dorm. Yet now he had suddenly appeared in this forest. Frey could tell that this place was different, but the atmosphere felt similar to when he had seen Saintess Verloche's memory last time. One thing was certain. He had been thrown into another memory. He could only hope that he would not fall into another terrifying nightmare. Then Frey heard a voice. It was young Frey calling for his mother. Frey remembered that this was probably when he got lost as a child. A werewolf appeared beside young Frey. Just as young Frey was about to be killed by the werewolf, a fireball suddenly appeared and saved him. The werewolf that had been struck fled in panic. It turned out that the one who saved young Frey was Irina. Young Frey tried to hug her and thank her, but Irina stopped him. Irina even said, "Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not your friend. I hate nobles more than anything." Those words made young Frey cry on the spot. Frey guessed that this must have been the first time he met Irina. But Frey had no memory of this at all. In his memory, the first time he met Irina, she had still been a bounty hunter. After that, he had gotten lost in the mountains with his mother. Back then, neither the werewolf nor Irina had appeared. In the end, it was his father who found him. This memory was just like Verloche's last time. Something was different. Frey guessed that his memories really had been controlled, but he could not understand who was playing with his memories. Irina planned to bring young Frey back to the ducal family and claim the reward. Young Frey said that his mother had told him to wait for her here. Irina told him, "Your father has been looking for you this whole time, so your mother should be at home too." After hearing that, young Frey agreed to go back with her. Frey still could not understand what was going on, but he decided to follow them and see what happened. On the way back, Irina learned that young Frey had been in the mountains for 3 hours. But the ducal family's notice searching for Frey had already been posted for 2 days. Irina found it strange, but she did not think too deeply about it. Even young Frey could not remember why he had hidden in the forest. It seemed like he had been playing hide-and-seek with his mother. But after hiding, he remembered nothing. Irina guessed that young Frey's mother might have controlled his memories. Just then, a wolf howl frightened young Frey. Irina told him, "Don't make such a fuss. Even if a werewolf appears, it will be fine, because I can take care of it easily." But the monster that appeared was beyond Irina's expectations. A massive werewolf locked its eyes on the two of them. It was twice the size of the one from earlier, and young Frey trembled in fear. Irina told him, "Hurry and run." But Irina was suddenly grabbed by the werewolf. Young Frey thought he could not abandon his friend and run away alone, so he unleashed a flurry of tiny punches on the werewolf. This only angered the werewolf, making it squeeze Irina even harder. Irina could not understand what Frey was even trying to do. The werewolf then turned its gaze toward young Frey, but even though it looked at him, it did not attack him. It even leaned closer and sniffed young Frey's scent. Frey, who was watching everything from the side, had no idea what was going on. But this werewolf gave him a strangely familiar feeling. And yet, in his memories, he did not know any werewolves. Frey's head throbbed in pain, but he still could not remember who it was. At that moment, young Frey curled up on the ground, trembling in fear. Irina endured the pain and released a fireball. That magic attack completely enraged the werewolf. It sent young Frey flying with a single swipe of its claw. Young Frey slammed hard into a tree. Irina was also thrown to the ground by the werewolf and brutally battered. She even thought she was going to die there. Just then, a beam of white light suddenly struck the werewolf. That attack actually managed to injure it. Irina had no idea what had just happened. It turned out that young Frey, now bursting with mana, had picked up a tree branch. Young Frey stood in front of Irina. Then he raised the branch and charged at the werewolf. The werewolf also swung its claws, ready to finish young Frey off. But at that moment, the werewolf suddenly regained a trace of reason. Its claws stopped in midair. Young Frey's full-force strike landed directly on the werewolf's stomach. The werewolf spat blood. From the pain, a moment later, it lost consciousness. Because of the werewolf's attack, young Irina was left with a permanent scar on her face. Irina had not expected Frey to be hiding this kind of power. She thought to herself, "If you were that strong, you should have used it sooner." But young Frey immediately passed out, and Irina guessed it was because he had used up all his mana. On the other side, Frey also let out a sigh of relief. What he could not understand was why the werewolf had suddenly stopped just now. The reason his head was hurting seemed to be connected to that as well. A child's weak attack should not have had any effect on a werewolf. The only reason it worked was because the werewolf had given up resisting. That was why young Frey's attack actually succeeded. Frey guessed that the werewolf must have known him. Even at a moment like that, it had not completely lost its reason, which meant Frey and the werewolf must have been extremely close. At that moment, the environment around Frey began to change, and the memory came to an end. Not long after, on the other side, Princess Klana and Saintess Fairloak were still discussing Frey's condition. Because he had been unconscious for several days and still had not woken up, Klana declared, "We just need to do our part and push all the blame onto Frey. Since we want to kill him, we must use whatever means necessary and corner him before he regains consciousness." Fairloak hesitated, "But it still feels wrong for a saintess to lie." Klana replied, "We have no other choice. If we do not do this, we will be the ones in trouble. Although we still do not have enough evidence. That bastard did indeed invade the commoner dorm and help the Demon King's army. As long as we leak this information to the public, people will start suspecting that Frey is working for the Demon King. Because of his special privilege, he will not be punished, but his position will definitely be affected." Saintess Fairloak did not really understand what the princess was talking about, but she decided that listening to her was the right choice. After that, Klana's knight came to report, "The blonde woman, Isabel, has woken up." Klana immediately prepared to question her, thinking to herself, "We might be able to find a clue." So she ordered her knight, "Stay here and guard Crow and the necklace." After they left, the Demon King arrived. She cast hypnosis magic on the knight. The knight was immediately hypnotized. The Demon King had come here to investigate why the mission had failed. By using Crow's corpse, she could see what had happened. As expected, she saw Frey stopping the sacrificial magic array. So he is the hero, she realized. Now that I have confirmed my enemy, things will be much easier. The Demon King released an unknown spell. From now on, I must get rid of the hero first, she decided. After that, 3 more months passed. Frey still had not woken up, so Serena interrogated Kania. What is really going on? A simple mana rampage could not leave someone unconscious for 3 months. You have been by Frey's side this whole time. There's no way you do not know anything. Kania did know the reason, but she could not say it. Just as Serena was about to take action and investigate, a sound came from outside the door. Irina arrived, saying, I am here to clean the room. She had to come because of the death contract. If she did not obey it, she would die. She even told Kania and Serena, do not mind me. Just keep talking freely. Clearly, she also wanted to use this chance to gather information about Frey. So Serena pulled Kania outside to talk. Irina also seized the chance to investigate for clues. But at that moment, Frey suddenly coughed up blood violently. Clearly, the system had judged that someone had discovered Frey's true identity. Frey asked Irina, why are you here? Then he asked, how long have I been unconscious? Irina told him, you have been unconscious for 3 whole months. Frey thought to himself, being unconscious for this long is probably caused by the system's punishment. The system announced, permanent negative effect, Oathbreaker's fate. The user's life force and lifespan will be greatly reduced. Number of people who discovered the truth, 2. Serena's memories were controlled, so it probably is not her. Among Princess Klana, Saintus Ferlochi, and the Fire Mage Arena, someone discovered my identity as the false villain. But they do not know me that well, so they should not have been able to see through me so easily. I have always hidden part of my strength in battle. I only used my full power once. That was when I went to the Ashen Forest with Irina. The panicked Irina was about to go call a doctor. Frey realized she must have seen the battle at the commoner dorm. He began to suspect that Irina had discovered his identity as the false villain. Frey wanted to test Irina, but he was afraid that if Irina had not actually discovered the truth, things would only become more complicated. So he decided to investigate in secret first. Serena and Kania also rushed over after hearing the commotion. Frey announced, only Kania needs to stay here. Then he ordered Serena and Irina, leave. Frey asked Kania, have you found out who discovered my identity? Kania replied, I have not found anything yet. Frey then muttered, Irina might have already figured it out. Kania promised, I will focus on investigating her. After that, Frey instructed Kania, go make me something to eat. At that moment, the system displayed another message. Frey knew it could not be anything good, and he almost did not dare to look at it. The system announced, special situation, the enemy has discovered your identity. The enemy now has the advantage. Frey could barely imagine how he was supposed to survive. Hiding his identity while completing missions was hard enough. Not only did he have to defeat the Demon King's army, but now a new enemy had appeared out of nowhere. From the very beginning, all 5 heroines had awakened their memories from the previous life. Then the system kept throwing unexpected situations at him one after another. The difficulty of hiding his identity in front of the heroines had also become much higher, and avoiding them was impossible. Fortunately, Kania was still by his side. Without her help, Frey might have died long ago. Meanwhile, on Irina's side, she could not understand why Frey was hiding his identity. She wanted to ask him directly, but she could not bring herself to say it. So, Irina also decided to investigate Frey. On the other side, Princess Klana went to the Empress, hoping to secure permission to arrest Frey, but the Empress blocked her request. The knight beside her apologized to Klana. It is my fault that Crow's corpse went missing. Because of me, our evidence against Frey has disappeared as well. Klana replied coldly, it does not matter. As long as we insist that Frey is working with the Demon King, that will be enough. She was determined to send Frey to the gallows. Meanwhile, Saintess Ferloke also could not understand why Frey had not woken up yet. She thought to herself, the game is almost over, and I have played the fool for long enough. It is about time for me to take action, because that red-haired demon has already begun moving as well. At the same time, on Serena's side, a letter from the Magic Tower Master was delivered. The moment she opened the letter, a magic circle appeared. This letter contained Serena's sealed memories. As promised, the Magic Tower Master had returned those memories to her. With her memories restored, Serena prepared to mess with the system. Meanwhile, on the other side, Frey decided that this time, he would definitely save the world they lived in a mysterious cave. This place was the lair of a dragon. The Demon King arrived there. She ordered the dragon to gather the scattered forces of the Demon King's army. It was time to kill the hero, Manaka Issei, the hero who saved this world 1,000 years ago, and his descendant, the current hero, Frey Ravo Seret. In order to open the hidden route according to the system and the prophecy book, Frey had driven the people important to him and the heroines into deadly despair in his previous life. After he achieved his goal, the hidden route, the path of the false villain, was opened. You have already destroyed the world once. You are the true false villain. The path to saving the world has opened for you. Please use the false villain system to save the world. When that time comes, you will obtain your one and only happiness. Just as those words stated, Frey deliberately did trashy things, because on the worst route, the only way to avoid sacrificing anyone was for him to become trash himself. That was the only method, all for the sake of creating a future where everyone could live happily. But the problem was that all 5 heroines had recovered their memories from the previous life, so they definitely remembered every evil thing Frey had done back then. In other words, he was completely doomed. And so, while dodging the attacks of the heroines, Frey went through countless hardships and finally completed the first main quest, the Commoner Dorm attack case. But the moment he woke up, the system gave him another mission like this. Damn system. Could it not even give him a moment to rest? Fine. Then let's see who has the last laugh. Even if he had to risk everything, Frey would never give up. A few hours earlier, at the Sun God Church, Ferloche warned Frey, "Did I not just tell you? If you do a half-hearted job, I will never let you off." Frey replied, "Is that so? Good. Then you'd better stare at me with those burning eyes until I get so excited that I can't do anything." Ferloche snapped, "There you go again with those vulgar comments. Frey, do not forget that you are currently under disciplinary supervision." That was right. After the Commoner Dorm case ended, Frey had not become the main culprit. But the incident was connected to the Demon King's army, and its scale was too large. The news spread too fast and too widely to be hidden in time. Although the royal family and the church desperately defended Frey, in the end, they still had to punish him. His punishment was to help prepare a festival at the Sun God Church orphanage under Saintess Ferloche's supervision, and the incident was considered settled. Of course, on the false villain route, Frey could not perform good deeds that stood out too much, so right now, he planned to slack off as much as possible. But even if Ferloche was here to monitor him, she was following him way too closely. Frey finally spoke up. "Hey, Ferloche, besides watching me, do you not have anything else to do?" "Lady Saintess, you sure have a lot of free time." Ferloche answered. "That is only because I am afraid you are planning something evil again," Frey complained. "That is ridiculous. I was unconscious for 3 months. After dragging me here, you could at least give me some time to act before suspecting me, right?" Ferloche accidentally said, "Because there seems to be something in the church basement. Recently, something suspicious has been happening in the church basement, and it should be connected to the Demon King's army." And Frey. But the moment she said it, she realized she had made a mistake. Ferloche quickly said, "No, please forget what I just said. Forget it right now." Meanwhile, Frey thought, "The church basement? I never went there in the previous life. Could this be another variable?" The system announced, "Important story event. A terrifying conspiracy is brewing in the basement of the Sun God Church. Witness the conspiracy with Ferloche and destroy this evil plan. Success will increase the awakening level of the hero weapon. Failure will result in Ferloche's death." Frey stared at the message in shock. What is this? This mission was never in the prophecy book. If failure means Ferloche will die, and the system directly writes death, then this is basically forcing me to do the mission. Do I not even have the option to refuse? Come to think of it, did something like this really happen in the previous life? Ferloche stared at Frey and said, "You really do know something. Tell me right now, what are you planning?" Frey asked in return, "Are you that curious? Then come with me and confirm it yourself." At that moment, someone was secretly watching Frey and Ferloche. After the two entered the basement, Ferloche gasped. To think a place like this existed beneath the church. Frey asked, "This place looks like it has been here for a while. Lady Saintess, did you really not know about it?" Ferloche shouted, "I investigated it myself. At some point, I started sensing an evil presence coming from the basement. But when I tried to investigate, they said they were handling the legal items, and that the Saintess did not need to worry. Then they stopped me from entering." Frey guessed that security here had probably loosened today, because everyone was busy preparing for the festival. In a way, that was a stroke of luck. Ferloche said, "This is our chance to uncover the Demon King's army's evil plan." Frey thought to himself, "Is saying this in front of me, a suspected member of the Demon King's army, really a good idea?" Then, words appeared on the stone tablet. They said, "In the beginning, there were the Sun God, the Moon God, and the Star God. Under the protection of these 3 gods, the world prospered." Frey wondered why this kind of writing was here, and this was also the first time he had seen anything about the Moon God and the Star God. Saintess Ferloche said she had seen this writing before. When she went to the Western continent in the past, she had seen stone tablets with similar writing. She tried to decipher them, but because she could not understand them, she eventually gave up. Frey thought, the Western continent. The information I want might be there. This is an unexpected gain. Then they found a door ahead. This seemed to be the end of the corridor. But the lock on the door had multiple layers of magic on it, including no entry, reinforcement, interference, and notification spells. Every troublesome spell had been used. A seal of this level would be impossible for even 10 mages to break. But Ferloche simply raised her fist. With one punch, she opened the door. Frey was completely stunned. Ferloche asked if he had something to say. Frey quickly replied, no, nothing at all. And just like that, Frey and Ferloche smoothly entered the room. The space inside was enormous, far larger than the corridor suggested. There was actually a place this big beneath the church. Ferloche suddenly pointed ahead and told Frey, look, what is that? It looked like the undead. And there were countless undead packed together. But why would such evil, undead creatures exist beneath the holy sanctuary? Frey realized that the aura coming from them was mixed with the aura of the sun and black magic. These were undead holy knights, made from the corpses of holy knights. But for what purpose had they made so many of them? Then, Ferloche seemed to notice something. The two looked up and saw a massive magic array above them. Why was something like that here? This sacrificial magic array was several times larger than the one at the commoner dorm. Undead guarding this place, and a huge sacrificial magic array. Frey suddenly realized what was above them. He suddenly started laughing coldly. So you finally saw it with your own eyes, just like you wanted. Ferloche did not understand what had gotten into him. Frey continued, you actually followed me here. You are far too naive. Ferloche immediately questioned him. What are you trying to do? If you dare try anything, I will use the sun god's protection. Frey cut her off. Your sun god's protection can only be used once a day, right? So what will you do now? You already used it when you broke that door. You have lost the means to stop me. Now I can finally reveal my plan. What do you think is above this sacrificial magic array? After Frey's reminder, Ferloche began to think. Soon, she also remembered what was above them. Above them was the place that housed orphans, the Sun God Church Orphanage. When the festival reaches its peak, this magic array will be activated, and all the humans above will be sacrificed to the Demon King. Ferloche immediately tried to run, shouting, you piece of trash, I will never let you have your way. Frey said, you made the right choice by leaving early. If you were any slower, everyone left above would disappear and become prey. As he watched Ferloche leave, Frey let out a long sigh. If it was Ferloche, she should find a way to disperse the crowd. Then he walked toward the skeleton horde. Handling this was going to be difficult. He had to preserve his villain image while also saving everyone, and this was the only way. At that moment, the undead archers had already drawn their bows, ready to fire. Countless arrows shot toward Frey. He thought to himself, since no one is watching right now, I might as well act like the hero again, for the first time in a long while, even if it is only this once. Frey began clearing out the undead, all by himself. He had already taken down so many of them, but why does it feel endless? He wondered. These monsters almost give the illusion that the more I kill, the more they appear. To think having two punishments stacked together would be this terrifying. I cannot drag this out any longer. I have to end it quickly. Frey gathered all the mana in his body. Then he threw himself straight into battle. At that moment, someone was watching everything. It was the fire mage Arena. Her previous guess had been right after all. This went back to 1 month ago. Back when she was with Rena in the Ashen Forest, she had found this stone. It was faint, but it was definitely the same star mana as Frey's. So, Rena's true identity really was Frey. But that only makes things even harder to explain. She thought, he cursed me, yet he protected me here. What is Frey even thinking? Why does he deliberately do evil things? And why does he do things like this, where no one can see? By now, Frey was locked in a difficult battle. These undead were slow, but their strength was overwhelming. If his body were fine, things would not have gotten this bad. But if he kept pushing himself, he would definitely collapse from exhaustion. As he continued killing them, the number of undead gradually decreased. If he kept taking them down in order, there should be no problem. But then, a powerful surge of mana appeared behind him. What are those huge things? Frey thought. They look like undead priests. The magic array began glowing red and absorbing mana. Has the sacrificial magic array been activated? Frey knew he had to stop it. They are trying to forcibly activate the array. So he had no choice but to charge toward the two undead priests. But at that moment, something went wrong with Frey's body again. Even so, he still forced himself to rush toward the two undead creatures. With one slash, he cut them down. After that slash, Frey was completely exhausted. The sacrificial magic array finally stopped operating. Thankfully, the disaster had been stopped. At the very least, the orphanage was safe now. Frey collapsed from exhaustion. The remaining undead immediately charged toward him, just as Frey was about to be killed by them. Irina used a fire scroll to stop them. Two streams of flame shot out from her hands. They quickly set the undead creatures on fire. She hurriedly called out to Frey, "Wake up! Please wake up!" But when she tried to lift him, she found that he was too heavy, and she could not move him at all. At that moment, the undead charged again. The flames from the scroll had gone out far too quickly, and that had been her last attack scroll. Irina quickly checked her waist again. The only thing she had left was one scroll, and it was something she had received as a bonus when she bought supplies earlier. The seller had told her, "Since you bought so much, I will throw in one attack scroll for free." Now, the only scroll left was that free one. She could only hope this attack scroll would actually be useful. But when she used the scroll, a magic circle suddenly appeared on the ground. Irina immediately realized something was wrong. This is not attack magic at all. Just as the undead closed in, a flash of light appeared, and the two of them vanished. At the same time, in a certain forest, Irina had no idea what had just happened. She quickly checked whether Frey was still alive. She thought to herself, "What exactly did that merchant give me?" The scroll clearly said attack magic. There's no way a scroll seller could mistake an attack scroll for a teleportation scroll. Once I get back, I am definitely going to settle the score with him. Where is this place? It cannot be the Ashram Forest again, right? Irina felt that this place was extremely familiar. This was the secret base she and young Frey had made long ago. That means this should be the forest near the Serret family estate. So this is definitely not a coincidence, she deduced. Someone is deliberately trying to connect me and Frey is the key to every mystery. Irina took out a bottle of potion. It seems I have no choice but to make Frey confess the truth himself. One night passed, and the next day arrived. When Frey woke up, he started coughing blood again. He still had no idea where he was. Then a voice spoke to him. "Young master, you are awake." The person in front of him looked like Kania. She said, "Yes, young master, I am so glad you woke up." Frey assumed that Kania had saved him. Irina was relieved that Frey had not noticed the cognitive distortion, and said, "I was a little worried about Lord Frey, so I stayed nearby." Frey asked, "Where are we? Why does this place feel so familiar?" It felt like somewhere he had seen when he was a child. Irina quickly changed the subject and asked, "Young master, are you hungry? I prepared some food, so please eat something." Frey thought to himself, as expected of Kania, she prepared so much. But as he looked around, something still felt off. That immediately made Irina nervous. Frey looked at the fruit and said, "I have not seen this in a long time. Back then, I always ate it as dessert after meals. But what was it called again? I remember the name was strange." Irina reminded him, "Young master, this is called ice dragon fruit." Frey remembered as well. "That's right, the name is pretty funny. I can't believe it was named after an ice dragon." Irina then pretended to have trouble asking, "Young master, what exactly happened this time? I do not understand the situation at all." Frey did not know where to begin. After that, Irina understood some of it. She summarized it by saying, "In other words, young master, you are currently saving the world as the hero, but unexpected things keep happening. Is that what you mean?" Frey replied, "That is basically it, although you skipped a lot of details." Then Irina excused herself, saying, "I need to go to the restroom." As Frey watched her leave, he let out a long sigh and thought, she really is not good at acting. Irina secretly went to the riverside alone. "My mind is a complete mess," she thought. "To think that everything I have done before was actually interfering with the hero. But that man killed me once before, and that is also true. What am I supposed to do now?" Just then, a spell suddenly flew toward Irina. She quickly blocked it with fire magic. Then she demanded, "Who is there?" As expected, her guess had been right. The person who appeared was Frey. He said, "So this is where you were." Irina said quietly, "I really am not suited for this." She cancelled the cognitive distortion magic. In truth, Frey should have noticed it the moment he saw that mana. Frey also confirmed that the person who had discovered his identity last time was Irina. Irina pointed at Frey and demanded, Answer me, Frey. Why should I save you? Frey replied, you do not have to help me. After all, I already prepared myself to be hated by everyone. You only need to wait a little longer. Once everything is over, I will properly apologize to you. Until then, let me protect you. After hearing that, Irina lowered her head. She said, you really are annoying. Protect me? How are you supposed to protect anyone when you keep collapsing all the time? If you want to apologize, then you should survive first. So you better take this seriously. Until you apologize to me, I will not let you die. Frey could tell that Irina had forgiven him. He said, we wasted an expensive potion. Let's head back first. From the strange mission that appeared out of nowhere, to the scroll that suddenly sent them here, everything bothered Frey. It felt as if someone was secretly controlling all of this. Meanwhile, somewhere else, inside a closed tavern, someone pushed open the door. The owner said, sorry, we are closed for the day. Please go to another place. But the visitor replied, you look pretty relaxed, Demirkan. The owner immediately stopped moving. So this was not an ordinary customer. If you know my identity, then you did not come here just to say hello, did you? Demirkan said. After saying that, Demirkan gathered his mana and prepared to strike. First, I will cut off your limbs. Then I will interrogate you slowly, he decided. Countless attacks stabbed toward the person in front of him, but with only a snap of the visitor's fingers. Demirkan's attacks were shattered instantly. Demirkan still had no idea what had happened. Then, the space around him began to crack. Demirkan was struck by a massive surge of mana, fell to the ground, and spat blood. He was shocked, wondering, how could my space magic be broken like this? Just a casual wave of the hand could achieve this much. Someone with this kind of power. Could it be the Demon King? Are you truly the Demon King? The visitor said, Demirkan, long time no see. That's right. I have returned. This is the resurrection of the Demon Lord. On the other side, Frey woke up from his sleep. Kanya asked, young master, did you sleep well last night? Frey replied, Kanya, long time no see. I slept well. I did not have any nightmares last night. It has been a long time since I slept this well. Maybe it is because I passed the trial. Kanya said, that is wonderful. If anything is wrong, you can come to me anytime. After all, I am. At that moment, Irina pushed open the door. Irina continued, not the only person who understands you, but still a loyal confidant. While we were gone, things outside seemed to have turned into a mess. But as usual, this time there is no major problem either. Kanya and Irina seemed to have talked quite a bit. They seemed to be getting along pretty well. Through Irina, Frey learned several things. The biggest problem right now was Klana. She had already started suspecting whether Kanya had truly switched sides, so she had refused to reveal too much information from the start. After the Commoner Dorm incident, she wanted to kill Frey even sooner. Irina added, she even teamed up with the elders of the Moonlight family. Frey asked in surprise, with those old foxes? She is now trying every possible way to assassinate you. The Council of Elders was a place even Serena could not recklessly act against. What were they supposed to do now? Frey stated, for now, we should focus entirely on the main quest. The next act is liberating the slave market. From this moment on, the Demon King's army will officially begin its offensive. The prophecy book also states this is the time it will happen. Not only did they meet a battle plan, but they also had to avoid assassination attempts. Just thinking about it was already exhausting. They had to make full preparations while the early part of the vacation was still relatively peaceful. Not long after, at the academy, Isol announced that a special exam would be held during the vacation. The moment Frey heard that, he froze. He had no idea what was going on. Had the exams not already ended? Isol explained that because someone had been throwing money around and bribing people everywhere, the scores had completely lost their meaning. That was why they had decided to hold this special makeup exam. Frey was shocked. How is that possible? Were the failed students not already decided? Even if you are a teacher, this is overstepping your authority. At that moment, Klana told everyone to be quiet. She said this was an order from the royal family, and the teacher was simply following orders. Anyone dissatisfied could speak up right now. The royal family was actually supporting a fair and proper exam. Frey immediately realized this was Klana's idea. It seemed she had a reliable supporter by her side. This exam would be a castle defense battle centered around representatives. Each team had to protect its representative until the exam ended. The representatives would be chosen by vote. The nobles and commoners would now choose the representatives they supported. Frey knew the commoners would definitely choose Klana, but he was not sure about the nobles. Unless they were idiots, no one should choose Frey, since he was constantly being connected to the Demon King's army. The result was obvious. Frey and Klana became the representatives of the nobles and commoners. Frey cursed inwardly. Damn it, they really are a bunch of idiots. Isol then announced, since each team's representative has been decided, I will now announce the assignments. The noble representative is Klana, and the commoner representative is Frey. The students were stunned when they heard this. Were they not supposed to choose the representative they supported? Isol explained, I told you to choose the representative you supported, but I never said that person would become the commander of your own group. Each team will decide how to defend on its own. For reference, the representative of the winning team will gain the right to expel students for this school year. Frey cursed. Of all things, that power had been given to Klana. The most basic condition for Frey to clear this world was maintaining his student status. So he absolutely could not lose this match. In other words, these people, he had to bring all of them to the Serret estate. From the very start, this castle defense battle was completely unfavorable. The other side could retreat to the Imperial Palace whenever they were in trouble. Kanya had already contacted the main household, telling them this was part of the exam and asking for their cooperation. Irina had also spoken to everyone and told them that Frey would cooperate. But why were the details of the prophecy book starting to differ in small ways? In any case, Frey needed their help. At that moment, the carriage suddenly stopped because someone was blocking the way. The coachman shouted, "Hey, move aside. Do you know who is inside this carriage?" The person replied, "Looks like I found the right one. This is urgent, so forgive my rudeness. My name is Demirkan. I have come to meet young Master Frey Ravoseret." Everyone was shocked when they heard Demirkan's words. Kanya asked quietly, is he not the second in command of the Demon King's army? Why would the second in command of the Demon King's army suddenly appear here? Frey told them to stay here while he went out to deal with him. Do not worry. He does not seem like he is planning to attack. He probably has another purpose. Irina said she would go with him. If something happens to you, we need to know. Kanya also thought Irina was right. They had to stay by young Master Frey's side. Frey agreed to the request, but said he would be the one to speak with Demirkan. Frey asked, "Are you looking for me?" Demirkan asked, "Are you young Master Frey? Then what is going on with the people beside you?" Frey replied, "You can think of them as my subordinates. So what business do you have with me?" Demirkan said, "Young Master Frey, could you come with me for a moment?" Frey asked, "Are you trying to kidnap me?" Demirkan explained, "Not at all. You seem to have misunderstood. Young Master Frey, if you do not come, we cannot hold the meeting." Frey asked, "What are you talking about?" Demirkan declared, "Young Master Frey Ravoseret, from now on, you are the top executive of our Demon King's army." Frey had no idea what the sudden statement meant. Was this a trap? He immediately checked Demirkan's emotional state. Trust, reliability, and expectation. This guy was actually serious. Although Frey did not know the details behind it, Demirkan truly intended to take him to a meeting. This was a perfect chance to learn the Demon King's army's combat strength. Even if it was a trap, he absolutely could not miss it. Frey said, "Irina, Kanya, take everyone else back to the estate first." The two of them seemed like they wanted to say something, but Frey cut them off. "Trust me, this might actually be an opportunity." Kanya reminded him, "If something goes wrong, you must run immediately." Irina added, "I will handle explaining things to everyone." Since he had left all the troublesome matters to them, it was time to go. Demirkan said, "I like how cooperative you are. Then, let us depart. It may make you a little dizzy." After that, the two vanished from the spot, leaving only the red glow of the magic circle behind. Kanya and Irina could only watch as Frey and Demirkan disappeared. At that moment, in another place, the executives of the Demon King's army were gathered there, and all of them looked terrifying. Frey had been brought to this place. The demons began whispering, "A human. They really brought a human here." Frey thought to himself, "I cannot understand what the Demon King is thinking at all." Demirkan said, "Frey, this is your seat." Frey asked, "Is this really the right seat?" Demirkan answered, "Yes, it is correct. From now on, you are the second in command, just like me." Frey said, "Is this really okay? Being given such a high position so suddenly is honestly a little overwhelming." Demirkan replied, "This was all the Demon King's will. We are merely following that person's orders." Frey checked Demirkan's emotional state and found confidence, generosity, and excitement. Is this really a decision made by the Demon King? He wondered. Still, this is actually a good thing. It is much better than being placed in some awkward position, and I will be able to gather more information. At that moment, a voice came from behind Frey. "Wait." A demon stepped forward. We here, absolutely cannot accept this decision. Demirkan, you are not the Demon King. Yet you have been making us obey you. I have tolerated that until now. But now you expect me to believe that the Demon King made such an absurd decision? Not only is he human, but he is also this weak. I absolutely cannot accept him standing above me. Kid, pick up your weapon. I am going to crush your body. Frey asked. Are objections allowed? Demirkan explained, the Demon King's army follows a strength-first rule. Anyone who believes they are strong enough can challenge their superior at any time. Is this not the perfect opportunity? It will prove that the Demon King's decision was correct. In this atmosphere, there was no way to continue the meeting anyway, so Demirkan snapped his fingers. The space around them immediately began to distort. Then, everyone arrived at a wide, open arena. Lihir declared, I am one who inherited the blood of a great demon and an orc. You are a descendant of the hero's family, are you not? Then I will defeat you here and now. I will prove in front of everyone that Demirkan is talking nonsense. And so, Frey's battle against the demon began. Lihir mocked him, saying, with that scrawny body, you have actually lasted this long. Not bad. Are you planning to keep defending forever? Frey thought, I have no idea what this guy is trying to do. The demon kept taunting him. Come on, show me something. Let me see your strength. Frey grumbled inwardly. Everything has already deviated from the prophecy book. Unexpected incidents keep interfering, and everything is slipping out of control. I am already irritated enough, and now I have to prove myself too. It is seriously annoying. Can I not get even a moment to breathe? You just told me to show you something, right? Fine, I will show you my strength. A powerful force erupted from Frey's body. Frey said coldly, you picked a bad day. I am very angry right now. The demons could not believe it. How could a human possess this kind of power? Lihir immediately said that he had judged wrong and admitted defeat. But Frey acted as if he had not heard him and swung his sword straight down. The demon lost consciousness on the spot. Frey looked around and demanded, does anyone else have a problem? Step down now. I will take all of you down at once. Everyone instantly fell silent. Demirkan began clapping. Truly impressive. With that overwhelming power, you have completely adapted to the Demon King's army. Now, no one will challenge young Master Frey's authority. Then let us begin the meeting. Please come this way. But Frey said, not yet. There is still one right I have not used. Demirkan, I challenge you. Since both the system and the Demon King were variables, and they kept messing with him, having 2 second-in-commands in the Demon King's army would be inconvenient. Demirkan could not help saying, you are adapting way too quickly. Frey decided that from now on, he would become a variable himself. Demirkan smiled and said, you really are an interesting person. I would be happy to accept your request. But we cannot delay the meeting too long. Then Demirkan snapped his fingers. Let us decide the outcome in one move. How does that sound? Frey thought that was not a bad idea. Demirkan was the second in command of the Demon King's army and used space magic. He was never the type who liked drawn-out battles, and Frey was the same in that regard. Demirkan said, it has been a long time since anyone challenged me, so please understand if I fail to control my strength. Then, Demirkan raised his hand and released a spell. Frey swung out a slash to counter it head-on. The 2 mana attacks clashed against each other, neither side giving way. Demirkan thought to himself, our attacks have cancelled each other out. In that case, it is a draw. But, Frey said, not necessarily, because the attack is not over yet. Demirkan was shocked to see a flash of light shoot out from Frey's sword. He had to block this strike no matter what. But because he had used all of his space power at once to decide the match in a single move, he no longer had any space power left to use. He thought in panic. Was Frey aiming for this from the very beginning? Was all of this within his calculations? Countless slashes flew toward Demirkan. The attacks landed all over his body. Without a doubt, Demirkan had lost the duel. He could not believe how things had turned out like this. Frey asked, so I am the second in command now, right? No one has any objections anymore, do they? Then, let us restart the meeting. After that, no demon objected again. Everyone closed their mouths. The atmosphere was absolutely perfect. Frey decided to roughly sort out the situation first. He stated, this is my first time attending the meeting, so I will simply listen for now. Demirkan will still be in charge of the meeting and handle whatever comes up. Demirkan announced respectfully, let the meeting begin. For some reason, he had become a little respectful. It seemed the Demon King's army's hierarchy was truly powerful. But this was a good thing. Frey could use this position to learn all of the Demon King's army's information. He had to find a way to obtain useful intel. Next came an important matter. Demirkan took out a photo. It showed the slave market that appeared in the main quest. Demirkan asked, "Everyone has finished reading the materials, correct? Frey needs to listen carefully to this matter. The slave market will open soon, and the Demon King's army plans to purchase a large number of slaves there." Frey thought to himself, "These guys should stop dreaming. From now on, I will devour these demons one bite at a time." Meanwhile, on the other side, Irina asked Kanya, "Where is Frey?" Kanya replied, "It is fine. Young master will definitely be safe. That is right. There's no need to worry over something like this." Irina could only say, "Fine, then let us leave it at that." But at that moment, Irina seemed to notice something and called out to Kanya again. Kanya repeated, "I will say it again. Young master will return safely. We should not worry for no reason. Let us focus on what we need to do." Not long after, they arrived at the Sarat ducal estate. Kanya asked, "You remember what Frey entrusted to us, correct?" Irina answered, "Of course." Kanya brought the commoner students into the estate. First, she gathered all the servants of the mansion. Then she told every servant, "Starting today, all of you will leave this estate." After that, she turned to the commoner students and declared, "Starting today, all of you will replace them and serve as the servants of the Sarat ducal family." The students were stunned. What had they just heard? Servants? Were they being treated as servants? Everyone was confused about what was going on. Kanya ordered them, "Stop talking nonsense. Change into the prepared clothes and start working immediately. No complaints will be accepted. This is all an order from your commander, young Master Frey." Not long after, one student wrote down some information. Then she sent it out. "This time, we will definitely get rid of Frey," she thought. And, beside her, a cat-shaped doll was silently watching. Not long after, Frey returned to the estate. Kenya asked, "Young master, are you unharmed?" Frey replied, "I told you I was fine. More importantly, why do you all look so pale?" Irina said, "Because while you were gone, Kanya was acting like that every day." "Never mind. What happened with the Demon King's army?" Frey answered, "Somehow, I became the second in command." Irina questioned him, "What exactly did you do? How did things turn out like that?" Frey told her, "Do not worry. I will explain the details soon. I also used this chance to give the Demon King's army orders that are favorable to us. They will attack the Moonlight family's Council of Elders on my behalf." Even Irina thought this was actually a pretty good plan. Frey then asked Kanya, "How did the task I gave you earlier go?" Kanya replied, "Young master, while you were away, I completed everything you ordered, just as you predicted." There was indeed a spy planted by Princess Klana among the commoner students. Frey said, "As expected, Klana would never just do nothing. Who is the spy?" Kanya answered, "A student named Eris." Frey nodded. "I see. Understood." He was about to tell them the information he had heard during the meeting. But Irina thought the details could wait, and that he should rest first. She asked Frey, "Why do you look so worn out?" Frey answered, "It is nothing. I am always tired anyway. I am just too hungry right now. It is because they did not give me anything to eat." When Frey was about to eat, he immediately asked, "Are you kidding me? You are calling this dinner? Why is it this color? Did you actually poison it? Are they trying to assassinate me?" He wondered. For some reason, Frey felt a strange sense of déjà vu, as if he had been poisoned before. He thought, there are countless ingredients available, so how did they manage to make something like this? The girl explained, "Because we come from low backgrounds, we have never used ingredients like those before. As commoners, we have done our best, so I hope Lord Frey will understand." Frey asked for her name, and the girl answered, "My name is Eris." So she was the spy Kenya had mentioned. Everyone knew the name Eris. She was an important figure connected to the commoner dorm incident. Originally, she was the one who stopped that attack. In the future, she would become the leader who guided reform within the academy. For Klana, who was supported by the commoners, Eris was a very useful insider. Frey asked coldly, "Understand? You commoners really are hopeless. You actually expect me to eat this garbage." Then, Frey flipped over the food on the table. "You can eat this trash yourselves. It suits your level perfectly." After saying that, he left. At that moment, Eris held back her anger. When the others asked if she was okay, Eris answered, "I am fine. I already imagined situations worse than this. We only need to endure until the vacation is over." Frey thought to himself, "I had not expected to earn so many false villain points from that. It seems I need to find more chances to earn more." 6 days have passed since the castle defense battle began. Is Klana still not planning to make a move? I have already arranged for the Demon King's army to handle the Moonlight family's Council of Elders, but they still cannot move yet. and have to wait for another opportunity. Then he heard sounds of fighting coming from the estate. Has Klana finally started her sneak attack? He wondered. When Frey went inside, he found unconscious students. Are the people inside safe? This is poison infused with the Moonlight family's mana. It is not a lethal dose, but anyone directly exposed to the poisonous gas will be unconscious for several hours. Neutralizing the poison with star mana will be exhausting, but I have no other choice. After entering, Frey discovered that everyone had been poisoned. Then, he heard a sound near the entrance. Someone was coming this way. A masked person arrived. Frey struck him from behind. The person was knocked unconscious on the spot. Frey deduced. It seems he's from the Moonlight family's Council of Elders. This might not be a castle defense battle at all, but Klana's personal show. At that moment, Frey came up with a good idea. Looking at the outfit, he thought, the size seems just right. The man in black returned and told his allies, there is nothing inside, only someone who has not been deeply poisoned, moving a little. We have wasted enough time, so we need to hurry up. But the man in black was actually Frey in disguise. Fortunately, they had not noticed. He thought, now I just have to follow the plan, figure out why they came here, and then question this man about the Council of Elders and Klana's plan. Meanwhile, on the other side, Saintess Fairlock was unconscious from the poison. Eris reassured the other students. Do not worry, she only passed out. Hiding her in the hallway or a room right now will actually be safer, since most people have already escaped. Besides the Saintess, many others have also collapsed. With just the few of us, there is no way we can carry everyone out. The only thing we can do now is get outside and seek help. Eris thought to herself, someone like Frey deserves to die. But the other students have been dragged into this as well. This is completely different from what was agreed upon. And the timing of the attack does not match what I agreed on with the princess. Did the Council of Elders change the plan on their own? But now is not the time to think about that. I have to get as many people out safely as possible. Even if it is only one person, I must make sure they escape alive. Meanwhile, outside, a masked man asked, is everyone here? Our target is Frey. It does not matter what happens to anyone else. If your identity is discovered, or if someone gives the signal that the target can be killed, everyone is to begin the operation immediately. Frey, who was hiding among the men in black, thought to himself, I have to move faster. The mana reaction seems to be very close. I am almost there. It is just ahead. The air inside is fairly clean. This is the source where someone is using mana to resist the poisonous gas. Frey pulled open the curtain and found 3 students hiding there. Frey signaled for them. Do not make a sound. The man in black beside him asked, is there something over there? Frey replied, it looks like a secret passage. Hearing that, the man in black immediately went over to check. When the man in black went to inspect it, Frey took him down with a single strike. Then he told the hiding students, follow me and leave this place quietly. Not long after, Frey brought them out of the estate. The students wondered, why is this person helping us? At that moment, the communication device on Frey's clothes made a sound. A voice came through. Change of operation. Some of our people have lost contact. It seems some students have started resisting. Frey realized he had been discovered. It looks like I need to speed up the plan, he thought. Then the communication device transmitted an urgent message from headquarters. The Council of Elders has been attacked by demons. Frey knew that his plan had succeeded. The other side immediately ordered, cancel the current operation and switch to the backup plan. Burn down the estate. But at that moment, the communication suddenly cut off. That was because the fire mage Irina had made her move. She said coldly, I will not let you do that. Irina told everyone, if we go down from here, we will reach the first floor. Hurry. Everyone. Keep going. But just as they got out, they ran into the masked Frey. They thought another battle was about to begin. But Frey released the hero's unique mana. Irina immediately realized that this presence belonged to Frey. So the two did not fight and split up instead. The student did not understand what had just happened. Why did that man in black run away after seeing us? Irina told her, he probably has something more important to do. Let us think about it after we get outside. So the group continued running out. Now Irina had also made it outside. The only place left was the basement. Frey had to check the situation there and sort everything out. When he went in, he found Eris. Eris said, please let her go. As promised, I will take full responsibility, so please do not hurt the other students. It seemed this spy was not working for Klana, but had been directly ordered by the Council of Elders. Frey told them, do not get caught, and get out of here immediately. Then he asked if there was anyone else down below. Before leaving, Eris reminded him, "There are unconscious students in the underground storage room. I know my request is shameless, but please do not hurt them." Frey told her, "I will keep what you said in mind. Now go." Right now, just neutralizing the poison with mana was already exhausting. During the Demon King's army meeting earlier, he had overused his strength to enforce discipline, leaving behind plenty of after effects. But there was no time left, so he had to move quickly. At that moment, a throwing dagger suddenly flew toward him. The other person asked, "You are not one of the council's people, are you? Who exactly are you?" Frey had not expected to run into the team leader here of all places. The man said coldly, "Looks like you have no intention of answering. But that is fine. I can tear you to pieces and leave only your mouth intact." Frey replied, "Do not make me laugh. The one getting torn to pieces should be you. You hurt innocent students and turned this place into a complete mess." Frey swung his sword at him, but the leader of the men in black was already prepared. Another blade came flying toward Frey. There were actually more men in black. Was this an ambush from the very beginning? Frey thought. Frey detected about 3 of them. Things have become more troublesome than I expected. 2 men in black attacked Frey at the same time. Frey could only barely block their attacks. One of the men in black had already stabbed Frey in the leg. Once Frey reacted, he kicked the man away. But where is the remaining one? The next moment, another man in black suddenly stabbed through Frey's abdomen. The man in black thought it was over, but a surge of mana burst out from Frey's body. Frey had actually grabbed the blade that pierced through his body with his bare hand, leaving the man unable to move or pull away. The man realized he had to get away quickly. In the end, Frey finished him off with a single slash. Frey had originally planned to question them about the Council of Elders' plan, but thanks to the Demon Lord's army, that was no longer necessary, so he was about to change his plan.